Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to Thoughtless Tree. I was going to call it our Thoughtless Tree, but it's not that. Welcome to our channel. We're going to do a video, a tier list of Baldur's Gate characters, using a tier list that already exists on Tier Maker, because I'm not going to put in enough effort to get all of these pictures with the text of the names, which is really handy. So it might as well just use this one.
Also, we should specify it's Baldur's Gate 3, not the entire series.
We have been playing this game a lot recently. It's a game we've wanted to play for a long, long time.
I think even since before it got released, because we had played Divinity 1 and Divinity 2.
Original Sin 1 and 2.
Original Sin 1 and 2. And then we knew this game was coming out, so we were like, oh, we need more.
I mean, Divinity Sin Original 2, you were saying was your favourite game you've ever played.
Yes.
And I apart from maybe Elder Scrolls Oblivion, I'm inclined to agree. And then, as a result, we were really looking forward to... I mean, first we were kind of annoyed that they weren't working on a sequel to Divinity, editing Baldur's Gate. It was like, oh, we haven't played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Is this some follow-on thing? I know D&D, but you don't. I was worried it'd be too confusing for you. It kind of was to begin with, I suppose, but it's not...
I don't think it's necessarily the D&D aspect that's confusing. I think it is just the mass amounts of like spells and like things like that get kind of confusing.
Well, that's what I mean. It's quite a lot to throw at someone first time round, and that's kind of why I was surprised that the game was as massive as it was, because of that reason. I mean, I think we're past the days where D&D is just seen as a really niche, nerdy thing anymore. I think
it is a lot bigger than it used to be because of things like Stranger Things and
Critical Role, I think, as well. A lot of those things, but even so, it's a lot to throw at a player. And if you're not familiar at all with D&D, I thought this game could be off-putting for a lot of people, but it massively picked up, and it was really irritating seeing how massive this game became, knowing we can't play it because we can't afford a PS5 and my PC could not handle it until very recently, when my old one died and I splashed out money I didn't have, like, right, let's finally get one I can actually properly edit videos with, one that's genuinely good, and it can handle that, and so we've played a lot.
We've done one full playthrough where you played, where we both did custom characters, and your companion sidekick was Shadowheart, and I had Astarion.
Yep.
And now we're on our, halfway through, potentially, maybe not even that, our second playthrough. And you've got Karlach this time, and I've got Gale.
Yeah, we're about, I'd say, halfway through Acts 2. And that's worth specifying because we haven't played the Dark Urge, so we can't really rank him on this list. I also don't know what Oathbreaker Knight is on this list. I think that's if you pick not Oathbreaker class, Paladin class.
Oh, okay.
I assume that's what it's for. We also don't know Minthara, because I didn't even realise she was a character you could have join your party, or anyone at all. Well,
didn't we just kill her before even talking to her?
Yeah, we just murdered her straight away. We're in a goblin camp, we're there to kill goblins, so we killed everyone. Yes. So we can't really rank them. Otherwise, I think we probably have quite a lot to say about most of these characters, and shall we just begin?
Yeah, I think before we begin, though, we need to rename our S and F tiers.
Oh, okay, right. S, I assume, is Scratch.
Yes, of course.
I can't remember what we were going to say F was.
We were just going to put, F Bongle.
Oh, yeah, because there wasn't... the only F character there is Floric, and it's a bit harsh putting Floric as an F tier. So F Waldron Bongle. Yes, let's start with Gale, shall we?
Yeah.
You probably know more about Gale than me because he's been your companion character. Where would you rank him, firstly?
I put Gale in S, or Scratch tier.
So did I.
Yeah.
I was tempted to go for A because I think the aspects of his story I think are a bit more straightforward than some of the other companion characters. Having said that, we haven't finished it on this playthrough, although we still interacted with him a lot on our first playthrough. But I just really like him, and I think it's a compelling idea, his story of being kind of told he has to blow himself up and is trying to come to terms with that, while at the same time it's a total manipulation of a person. I think that's really a cool, because that when I say that makes me think of terrorism.
Yeah.
And how people get indoctrinated by that. And there's something vaguely similar going on there, which is really interesting, but done via a god.
I did see a little news article thing earlier today about how there are a lot of similarities between Gale and Wyll's stories, if you really think about it.
Are there?
And how that is potentially what makes Gale's story seem weaker, because they are both two people who are under the power of higher beings.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. And both, yes, yeah, I suppose it is really, because they're both kind of manipulated in that sense. Gale was in a relationship with Mystra. I suppose you can give him that, although we don't really see the context of that relationship.
And from what you kind of hear, it feels more like he may be just not that important to her.
Yeah.
She sees him as maybe like a pawn in a bigger picture.
Yeah, which is probably how a goddess would behave, I suppose. It's interesting, yeah. I think I prefer his story to Wyll's, though.
I think I do, because I think there's more... I think Wyll's is kind of maybe very straight to the point.
Yeah. I would say what Gale's is lacking, maybe, is... Maybe that's unfair. I was going to say many other characters within his story that you come across. Like, Wyll has his dad and things. But Gale does have Elminster. And obviously Mystra, but Elminster.
And Tara.
Yeah, but Tara only... unless more happens in this playthrough, but Tara, as far as I know, only appears at the end. But I character-wise, I think he's great. I think he's very, very elegant.
But then also really, very nerdy and almost a bit childlike in ways.
There's dogs barking outside at the moment, but... typical. Yeah, I mean, I had a few comments recently from people suggesting he was autistic, which I hadn't really thought about. I don't know what I think about that exactly.
I personally wouldn't feel comfortable speculating whether he is or isn't, because...
No.
I mean...
But I mean, if people relate to him and that means something to them,
of course.
I think he would be a good example for that, because he's then someone who is, if he is, has traits of autism maybe, but isn't really caught up in all the stereotypes. He's not shy and withdrawn and isolated the way we're often told autistic people have to be. He's very elegant and very confident, and that's quite fun, I think.
I also think there's a level of stupidity to his character. Not his character specifically, but I think they do have a lot of fun with his character, because he is a bit of an eccentric.
Yeah.
So when he dies, for instance, in the game for the first time, you can't just resurrect him. You have to do whole flute song.
Yeah. Which is very annoying, because he died for us. He got thrown into lava right away in the middle of a pit. So we had to do all of that standing in lava to reach him. But yeah, I mean, I quite like that. I think his humour's probably underrated in the game, because it is a bit more subtle than some of the other characters. He's not as eccentric. Well, he is eccentric, but not as not in a bombastic way like Minsc is or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he can be underrated in that sense.
Plus, for me, you look a little bit like Gale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's an element that I enjoy as well.
Different hair, but... Yeah. I'm similarly elegant.
I said looks.
Intelligence? I think I'm wiser than Gale. I think I can give myself that.
Yeah, potentially.
Alright, so S tier, I'll go with that.
Oh, also, the guy, what's he called? Tim Downey, who voices... I think he is probably my favourite out of all the actors.
Well, performance-wise or the person, you mean?
I think both.
Is it?
Actually, I don't think performance-wise. I think his character doesn't have enough, going, maybe, so he can put in, this big performance.
Yeah.
But I think as a person, from interviews and stuff, he is my favourite.
I'd probably say. I very much enjoyed him in the High Rollers D&D playthrough they did.
Yeah.
Wyll, then. Where did you put Wyll?
I put Wyll in A.
So did I. And it feels a bit harsh in comparison.
Yeah, but then I also, like I said, I don't enjoy Wyll's story as much as I do Gale's, I don't think.
I think the thing for me with Wyll's, I think his story's not as fun. I think he's very serious, and he doesn't have some of that eccentricity that Gale does, and he doesn't have a character like Elminster to add more of it. Wyll's extra character is his dad, and I find his dad really bland in this. I think Will's interesting because he's kind of like your stock hero type character, but there's the underlayer that he's only been able to become that via this deal with the devil, which I find really interesting. But I think personality wise it does mean he is kind of like the stock hero, and as a result there isn't as much to him. And then his dad, who very much is the stock hero that he's trying to live up to, feels kind of just like that. And I don't think his dad really is enough a compelling character to make the kind of dynamic between them that interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should feel like excited to reunite them.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't. And I don't know, like...
Well,
I was to some extent, because I thought there was going to be more to the story, like there was going to be this like kind of conflict between them, and then over time we were going to kind of resolve it and like whatever. But it was, they meet, his dad's annoyed at what he's become, thinks he's a monster, and then 2 seconds later you've explained to him exactly what Wyll did and why, and then he considers him like some... Yeah. And it's like...
I kind of felt...
It's one conversation and things are fixed.
Because, I was really excited to reunite them, but then I think that did feel like a bit of a letdown. And then after that as well, there wasn't much else to their characters going on. There's a bit of stuff about his dad wanting Wyll to become... I think it's mayor. I can't remember what the word is. Maybe it's mayor. It's not what mayor. Whatever the word is, of Baldur's Gate after him.
Duke?
Yes, Duke. And Wyll not necessarily wanting to. But I don't think there's kind of enough friction and weight in that for it to be that interesting.
Yeah. I think like maybe you do get some fun Wyll scenes if you go down the romance route with him, because you rejected him in the middle of a dance.
I did.
So...
Well, that was so random because he didn't particularly like me in that play. I'd accidentally insulted him earlier.
And I'd accidentally kissed him. Yet he went to you.
Accidentally kissed him.
Well, I didn't mean to click the option to...
Right. Yeah, that was weird though, because I thought he was like slightly involved in you.
Yeah, because then even when you speak to Withers and he goes on about the bosom companions, he came up with options for like Gale and Wyll, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get like an awkward cutscene. But Wyll. No, you got it.
Yeah, I did feel bad for him. That was very, very sad.
Yeah,
moment.
Rejected him. Yeah, seen his sad little face walk away.
It was a sad little face. I do like Wyll a lot. I think going for him, I think he's got the nicest voice out of the male cast.
He does, yeah.
Maybe Raphael's... No, I don't think Raphael's voice is
as nice. It's not a nice voice, it's more...
No. Yeah, I think Will's voice is very, very nice. Mm-hmm. And he is a compelling character, but not necessarily as fun as the others. And I think maybe that can make him easier to overlook.
Yeah.
But I think A's fair. We
haven't properly played a lot as Wyll yet, though. And I think that would probably be an option for like our next playthrough. Yeah,
I think so. In terms of Minthara, do we rank her despite not knowing her, or do we just leave her off the list?
I think we rank her based on our little interaction of her.
Well, it has to be like D then.
I wouldn't feel comfortable putting her in F because we didn't really give her a chance.
No. Alright, it's D then,
so let's just go with D, and there's not really a lot else to say on that.
Nope. Minsc.
I put Minsc in A.
Did you? I did as well. Mm-hmm. Yes. I was excited to meet Minsc in the game because he's voiced by Matt Mercer, who I enjoy from Critical Role. So I was intrigued what kind of character this would be. As it turns out, he's a character from the earlier games, isn't he? That we don't really know about. I think my disappointment with him is that Minsc comes in so late to the game that he doesn't really have any space to do anything. I can't really remember anything he particularly did, other than just was there and...
He adds a bit of like comedy to like the third act, right? But I don't think he does an awful lot. And I think that is one part of the game that I think is lacking, because when we were like meeting all these fun people, I was under the impression that when we got to like the last battle, these people would join us, much like they do at the Moonrise Towers.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been really fun to have like Minsc in the fight.
I know. I was disappointed with that as well, because there's a lot from the Emperor saying, "Oh, don't recruit him. You can't trust him. He's too much of a live wire." And I was like, "Oh, is something big and dangerous going to happen then?"
Yeah. Is he going to like do something? Or...
Yeah. So that was kind of disappointing. And I think if you can like the other kind of characters you can meet and join your party, Halcyon you meet, I suppose, towards the end of Act 1, but there's a lot in Act 1 about trying to find him, and you get a build up of this druid place he's from, and you get a sense of like his part in that community. And then Jaheira you meet quite early into Act 2, and you get to know all about the Harpers and all the kind of stuff she does, and then you've got a long time with her. But Minsc, he doesn't really have that. He's just there, going about. I suppose you hear that he's a villain who's trying to take down Nine Fingers Keen. Is it 9? Is it 4? I can't remember.
9, because she's got one finger missing.
Yeah, right. But it's not really anything of him. That's just him in the control of the Absolute doing stuff, and you don't really see it. So
it's somewhat like, I'd like to say it, but it somewhat maybe feels like he was an iconic character from the first 2 Baldur's Gate games, from what I've heard.
And they just wanted to
and it is kind of fan service to throw him in the last act because you're not expecting it.
Yeah, I could see that. He definitely deserves more to do, but in terms of like delivering on fun, he definitely does. So I think A is fair, because he is fun.
Like all his scenes, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And then when you meet Boo and realise he's got a hamster, that just was like...
I wasn't expecting the hamster. I was expecting maybe one of the rats that you kind of meet around throughout the game, or something along them lines. But I was not expecting a very cute little hamster.
You love hamsters, don't you?
I do.
Where are we ranking Boo on the basis of that?
So, we'd kind of discussed it before, and I thought that I would put Boo in S. But I did have a change of thought and thought I would agree that Boo does belong with Minsc.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of just rank them together as Minsc and Boo in A tier.
Even though I do prefer Boo to
Minsc.
Yes.
But Boo does nothing.
No, but I like the idea that you don't know what Boo is. Like, Boo could be this, amazing hamster like Minsc insists, but you never know. There's a level of intrigue there.
Is there though, or is it just... It's just a hamster and Minsc?
And it's a very cute hamster.
Dark Urge, are we ranking him, having not played? Are we putting him...
I think we'd also have to maybe put Dark Urge in D, just because we haven't experienced...
No, I'm very intrigued to.
Yes.
I think the monologue he gets when you're picking characters at the beginning and you scroll through him is a very well-delivered monologue. And
we've watched interviews with Amelia Tyler, who is the narrator, and... she seems super excited when she talks about her Dark Urge kind of narration.
Yeah.
So that's
because she said she delivers a different kind of mood or tone to the narration depending on which characters you play as, and apparently Dark Urge is very different as a result.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't say. Floric.
I put Floric in D.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't. I went instead in C.
Okay, how come?
Because I think she's fine. I think in terms of what she does in the game, it makes sense that there is a character who's very loyal to Duke Ravengard. And that's what she does.
I do get that. I think I found her character fine until the point when she turns on you for...
Yeah, that is a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Because you've done all of this stuff throughout the game that help her. It's been great. You saved her from a burning building. I don't think you have saved Duke Ravengard by then.
But don't you help her escape the prison at one point as well?
Prison. And then Mizora, of all people, tells her that Wyll is planning with you to kill Duke Ravengard so that Wyll can take over.
Yes, yeah.
And she believes the devil on that without asking you at all, and just goes full on angry at you as a result.
Is that after the bit where you have to decide, pretty much sacrifice Wyll or
it's after
save his
that,
dad? Or,
yeah, so I suppose that might happen differently for other people, but it was a bit...
Yeah, I guess it maybe depends on what you choose.
It's very sudden though, and I felt like we deserved her to ask us first before coming to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So I could say D on the basis. Well,
I don't know. I don't think there's anything memorable about her character, really.
No, I suppose there isn't.
Because I remember being like, Case, you play this game sometimes before you go to sleep, where you'll think of something for each letter of the alphabet.
Yeah, because it takes me forever to fall asleep, and this helps me.
You asked me once, like, oh, what shall I do? So I was like, oh, Baldur's Gate characters. And then you were there forever trying to think of characters that began with F. And I was like, oh, Floric, and you were like, who? So clearly they leave a big impression.
All right. Okay, fine. We'll put her in D for now.
Okay, I mean, we'll see what other characters appear in there and then...
Withers. He's not going in D.
I put Withers in A.
I put him in B, I think. I can't see. I put him in B, which feels a bit harsh, actually, when you think about it. I could go with A. I suppose, well, it's hard to say because his character isn't... This is the difficult thing of ranking these, because some of them are main characters who get lots of story and should have lots of story. Some of them are kind of main characters where they've either got the right amount, or in Mintz's case, feel like they should have had more.
Yeah.
And then there's characters who are minor characters who you don't expect to have a lot of story and shouldn't have a lot of story. And so you can't kind of judge them on not having a lot of story like Withers doesn't.
I guess, but then I think this is like based on our enjoyment of the characters. And
yeah, I mean, I think in the role he's given, he does it very, very well. I think, and that's the part of me that thinks maybe it is A, because he doesn't have lots of emotion or backstory or character arc to him. But I think he shouldn't do. I think that would be really weird in the game if he did. And I think that's kind of what's intriguing about him, because it means you have no idea who Withers really is. There's the vague sense he's some ancient god, maybe. But he never really tells you. He doesn't entirely explain things. There's a lot of talk about time and death.
I mean, we were even more confused on our first playthrough because we didn't find him in the location you meant to find him.
No.
Like in his sarcophagus
yeah,
or whatever it is.
you're supposed to release him from that sarcophagus and then he talks to you.
He just turned up at our camp and we were like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, I was convinced he was going to be a villain for
ages.
ages.
I was suspenseful the entire game that he was gonna murder us at any minute.
And that's actually fun, to be fair. That did add to it. Especially because he does look a little bit like Blackif. I mean, you kept calling Blackif Withers in a wig.
Yeah. I was convinced that, Blackith was going to be, some relative of Withers. And Withers was, spying on us or something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I kept waiting for some twist of him. And that does kind of make it interesting. It wasn't disappointing that there wasn't that twist. And it's very nice he orchestrates that kind of hangout at the end of the game for us.
I loved that bit.
And I think how confusing that you don't know who he is and things. I think they kind of make fun of that when Arabella has all sorts of just stands there and questions him and gets confused by everything he says. I really like that. Yeah, I think if you're going to have a character there, I mean, the main reason he's there is it's a way to be able to resurrect teammates when they die.
Yeah.
If they get stuck or whatever, you can talk to Withers and he can do it for you.
And you can change your class and stuff, right?
Yeah. If you're going to have a character who functions to let you do those things, I think having someone like him is the best characterization you can have for that. And he adds to the game without getting in the way of it. And maybe A's fair then.
Yeah.
Maybe A is fair. He's got his role and he does it perfectly. Scratch. Are we just saying S?
Yeah. Of course.
Because it's Scratch.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about Scratch.
I don't think we need an explanation. Scratch is just adorable.
Alright. Owlbear Cub? Is that
S?
Okay. I mean, we didn't find Owlbear Cub on the first playthrough, and you were really disappointed about that.
Yeah, so I remember I was looking up, Scratch merchandise on Etsy or something, because that's what I do.
You spend so much time just looking on Etsy. Never buying, just looking.
And everything that was Scratch related had a picture of Scratch and the Owlbear Cub, and I was like, what the hell is this Owlbear Cub? And then I was so excited the entire game at the thought of meeting this Owlbear Cub, only to find out that we'd missed it in the first act.
Yeah. You were a bit
and then I wanted to restart it right away.
Can we restart now?
Yeah.
No, we're finishing the game. Okay, S.
Mm-hmm.
Tara, is that a S as well for you?
No.
Do you not find Tara as cute?
I think maybe I would put Tara in S tier if you actually really got to meet Tara.
I mean, we might do on this playthrough.
Yeah,
now that you got Gale as a companion. Is it because she's a bit snooty? Is that it as well?
I don't know. I usually kind of like snooty characters, though, don't I?
Yeah.
But,
she seems to slightly, as far as I can remember, slightly look down on Gale. Well, not look down, but be underwhelmed by his achievements, and it feels little bit unfair.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably put Tara in like B or C.
I put Tara in C.
Yeah.
I think I think she does a function fine.
It's fine, yeah.
That's what I'd say. Volo?
I put Volo in...
I put him in B.
I put him in A.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why A?
I think he adds like an element of fun.
He does.
And an element of, oh, this is a character that we can just laugh at, not with.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also because he's a little bit of a dick as well, I think adds to it. Like at the end of the game when he tries to write a biography version where he's the hero.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun.
But he's like a bit of a dick in a sense that like you're not annoyed at him, you're just like, oh, that's him being him.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And I do very much enjoy the moment where he stabs your eye out and then vaguely gives you some other thing to put in before he runs off and leaves you be. I like that. He's a good character. He's one you're supposed to be laughing at, and he does that well. He's a minstrel, and he's called Volo, and I don't think he does anything really of merit, but he's a good comic relief character.
Yeah, I like when he is held captive by the goblins, and you go see him, and they're making him like
sing.
Yeah, I like that bit.
Yeah, he does have some good bits in the game then. And he seems to have some kind of, based on reading some of the books, some kind of relationship to Elminster. I don't know, would you say he's as good as Withers? Withers has a very satisfying, gravelly voice.
Yeah, I do like Withers' voice.
Volo's voice kind of grates on you a little.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I enjoy him as much as Withers, but I still think he is...
Well, you said A.
Yeah.
I said B. One of us has got a win here.
Well, we don't have anything in B.
Okay, you can go in B.
Just fling him in there.
Haradin, who is a man who wants to kill Dame Aelin, the Night Song, and he kind of has a bit of a confrontation with Zevlor. And he's not the nicest, I wouldn't say.
No. I find him incredibly annoying.
I mean, he is, yeah. But at the same time, like, I kind of get it. I mean, he wants to earn money. He's a bit of a cutthroat in that way. He's not a particularly powerful one, though. He's not substantial enough. There's that thing, I think, where, like, if there's a villain, if they're, like, powerful enough, you respect them for it. Whereas if they're not very good at it, it annoys you.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of falls into that camp. Yeah, and then there's a bit where he comes to the camp. It's like, oh, for God's sake, I've got to deal with you now. So, on that basis, I think I put him D.
I put him in F, but I think that maybe is a bit unfair, considering I think there are way worse people to put in.
Well, is he one of your least liked characters then, though?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Well, we could say F then. I mean, it's kind of, this is the bit where I get confused about how I'm ranking these, whether I'm ranking them and how much I like them, or whether I'm ranking them and how good I think they are in the game. And he's one of the ones where it's hard to say based on that, because I don't like him, but I think he does his part fine.
But then again, there are some characters that I don't like, but I am going to rank them higher because I think they are fun characters. And with him, I don't like him, and he's not fun.
And he doesn't
do a lot, and he doesn't add any emotion. He doesn't.
Okay, yeah, maybe F is fair then. Raphael though.
S.
S. That was a very quick S.
Yeah.
Because I did put him in A actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he won a BAFTA for the performance, and is it Andrew Wincott or Winnicott? I can never remember.
I think Wincott, but I don't know.
It's a very good voice acting performance, even if it's exactly the same as the voice acting performance he does in the game Victor Vran.
I'd say he's a bit more annoying in Victor Vran.
I mean, he is. He's very annoying in Victor Vran. This time round, I suppose he's a character you buy into a lot more, and you really liked him. You found him oddly attractive, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it's oddly. I just think there's something about him
this is your type in games though, is sophisticated, British, and look down on you.
Usually older.
Yeah. And it makes me think I'm playing our relationship completely wrong.
Yeah, just bully me.
Yeah. So I can see why you put him in S. I think the reason I was going to say A is because whilst he's the most interesting villain, I was going to say his bit's a bit tacked on, but maybe it isn't.
I don't think it is, because you meet him so many times during the game, and I think his story ties into a lot of the others as well.
Yeah.
It's like you've got the whole stuff with him and making a deal with Moll. You've got him wanting the crown. You've got...
Yeah, that's a good moral dilemma in the game, that one, actually. Because I'm vaguely intrigued about what happens if you do make a deal, even early on if you make a deal with him, how that goes.
Yeah.
And I think you do get to go to his entire House of Hope and stroll around it all, and that is interesting that he gets a whole area.
And I think that kind of area was one of my favourite kind of fight bit.
And he does have a song. So maybe S is fair.
Who else sings during battle?
Yeah, maybe S is fair. He's fun, he's compelling, he's a villain that I really, really wanted to kill, and you got to, and it was very satisfying. So
there was part of me that didn't want to kill him though, but maybe that's just
that's
just the attraction, yeah. But please, can we give him the crown?
Right, let's put him in S. Lae'zel.
I put Lae'zel in A.
So did I. And I think my main reason for that is like you said about Wyll and Gale's stories being quite similar. I think Shadowheart's and Lae'zel's are quite similar in that they're both like 100% faith devoted to a person and a cause, and you have to kind of help them see, no, maybe you're being betrayed. And the kind of friction with them not wanting to believe that and then kind of having to.
Being very set in their own ways. And
yeah, and I think while there are a lot of differences within that, I think Shadowheart's more very much being manipulated and indoctrinated and tricked, where Lae'zel, well, she is tricked, but it's also an entire culture and a community she's grown up in. And that's like their way of living, so it's slightly different. But I think of those two kind of stories, I think Shadowheart's is a better one. Better done. I think Lae'zel does add a lot of fun. You need that kind of very serious to the point you can kind of poke fun at them character in the group. I think that's important. I think it's interesting learning about the Githyanki, who I didn't know about.
Yeah, you now enjoy saying Githyanki Kresh probably more than...
It's a really nice phrase to say. I said it a lot when we went to the Githyanki Kresh, didn't I? Yeah, it's a good phrase. I find Lae'zel interesting in that sense. But yeah, I don't find a story as compelling. And I think, to be fair though, Shadowheart's is quite neat and tidy in that you get to the Night Song and you help her not kill the Night Song. And then kind of from then on out, it's clear where her story's going.
Yeah.
With Lae'zel's, there's still the kind of struggle that either you have to support Vlaakith and she wants that, or if not, and you get her to change your mind, and then there's Orpheus to free.
Yeah.
There's the then tension later on in the story of, do I free Orpheus? Is Lae'zel going to be really mad at me if I don't? That's quite an interesting dilemma to a story that Shadowheart doesn't really get.
Yeah. I think we should specify though that on our first full playthrough, Lae'zel was gone for a lot of it because she got taken by Orin.
Yeah, and we didn't fix that for ages, did we?
And we did kind of keep forgetting about her.
Yeah.
So I think maybe on another playthrough, when we play with her as like one of the mains, maybe we will get more of her kind of story.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit unfair to put her.
But I suppose there is the superiority side to the Githyanki that is a bit annoying.
It is, yeah.
It's fun and it makes sense, but it's also kind of annoying. Yeah, so I think A's fair on the basis of all of that. That's where I put it. What did you put? A?
A, yeah.
Okay, we are going A then, yeah. I thought I was going to have to fight for that. Zevlor. I really like Zevlor, but I can't really think of any reasons I do.
Well, on our playthrough, we kind of got him killed.
Yeah.
I say kind of, we did. So I don't think we got a lot of interaction with him.
Well, he gets trapped, doesn't he? And
in the same place that Mazora is, right?
Him. Yeah. And I didn't see him, and I thought you find him later on, but then he's gone. You can't go back to that point. And I think part of why I like him might just be I feel guilty for not saving him. But he's a good character. He's a leader, and he's a bit old and slightly worn down. And based on what people say, he doesn't do a great job when it comes to battle, and that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
and they don't particularly seem to like him as a result of that. I think I scored him C, though.
I put him in C.
Yeah, because he has a job there and he does it fine, and I think it's hard to complain about him. All right, C. Korga.
I put Korga in D.
So did I.
I think her character feels like she has a very strong introduction to the story, and I think she has a very strong setup, and then I just think her character goes nowhere.
That's true. It does feel like there's this big villain introduction with this snake and threatening Arabella, and then, I mean, on our first playthrough, we went to get Halsin, we didn't find Halsin and ended up killing everyone else, and we're like, oh, hang on, there's this room down here. And by the time we got there, Halsin had kind of escaped on his own, it sort of said, and he'd gone back to the Grove. And then we went back to the Grove, and he just had a go at her, and he was like, I'm going to discipline Korga, and that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
On a second playthrough, we found out there is this sort of story subplot line where she's working with those dark druids to betray the Grove, and we found that out. Yeah. And we confronted her, and I think it was because of a persuasion check, but she very quickly backed down and apologised. And it is a very sudden wrap up. Like, if you're gonna do all this bad stuff and then just quickly get a telling off, and that's the end of it. You do have the option, I suppose, to argue Halsin could kill her, and I'm not saying that's what I'm expecting, but I think there could have been a bit more sort of friction about what she did.
Because like when you're having the conversation with her and Halsin, and Halsin was like, oh no, she like pretty much letting her get away with like the things that she's done.
I mean, I'd like to see her argue more for a cause and why she did what she did, and like make that more compelling, and to me go, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense.
And I would have liked to see her character again later down the line. Maybe even she did get a bit of a redemption later on, where she does come and fight alongside you at Moonrise Towers. Yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah, or to hear something about how she's doing at the Grove.
I don't think you do see her again.
No, I don't think you do.
And it feels like a bit of a big setup for...
Yeah, she does feel like she's going to be an interesting villain in Act 1, and then she just isn't. That is true.
And I really like the look of her character as well, so it is a shame.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. She has a role and it ends up slightly disappointing. Arabella, then?
I put Arabella in S.
I put her in A. Is Arabella your favourite out of the kids?
Yes. I think she's absolutely adorable. But I think she's the best child because I think she has the most full story out of all the children. Yes,
I'd agree with that.
I think it starts off very strong with her about to be killed by the snake.
Yeah.
For stealing the statue. And I don't know, I think as the game goes on and then she loses her parents and then she comes to the camp and like Withers tells her that she has to go out on her own, and I think she has a lot of character progression because she starts off as kind of this very scared
she does.
child, and then when you meet her again later on after she's left you, she seems very confident and happy, and
I do like that. I think she's probably got the best like story structure out of them, and also I think she's so much like the archetype of a protagonist from a children's fantasy story. It feels like she could, like, if this was a children's fantasy story, she'd be the main character, and I quite like that. That kind of story is just nestled in the back of this. So she probably is the strongest kid. I don't know whether she's S tier, though. Is that just because she's a kid and she's cute?
I don't know, because all the other kids are cute, and I may or may not be putting them
yeah,
in
they're
other
all
places.
an S.
But, I don't know. I think her story, out of all the children, is the most touching. And I think if we're going to put, like, Scratch and Owlbear in S, they don't really have stories, they're just cute. Whereas Arabella's cute and she has a story.
Okay, alright, you convinced me. I do like her. So
is she your favourite out of all the children?
She is, yeah, I think she is. Viconica, or I don't know how you say it. I thought it was Viconia, but there's a C in there, so
yeah, I'm not gonna try.
Is the Lady Shah lady, the Lady Shah, who I think is the one that did indoctrinate Shadowheart, and was certainly leading that faction temple place where Shadowheart's from, and you go there and you kill her. And I put her in D.
I put her in F.
F?
Yeah.
Go on.
I think, to me, she should be in the same category as Aradin, because... Actually...
I don't think she's annoying as Aradin.
Yeah, but I think her character is a bit of a non-character.
She is. She's very forgettable.
To say that she is, like, this important factor to Shadowheart's story, that you don't really get a lot of, like...
No, you don't. I suppose if you compare it to, like, say, Cazador for Astarion story, with Cazador, at least, Astarion talks a lot about him in advance.
Yes, and you learn Cazador as, like, a person and all this tragic stuff that's happened because of him.
Yeah.
Whereas with her, you don't get a lot of setup for meeting her.
No. I mean, I suppose you get to learn some bits about how the temple itself is run when you're there, but I don't feel like there's a personal sense of her as a character.
No.
And you're very quickly just killing her. And she gets a bit of a monologue to sort of kind of convince Shadowheart to back down again. Mm-hmm. But it's not that convincing a monologue, and I felt that was going to be more.
Yeah.
It's just, this is your last chance, do this or die, and you say no, and then you fight.
I kind of wish we would have known more about her prior to, like, meeting her and killing her. That is all, like...
Yeah, for someone who has had such a massive influence on Shadowheart's life, there isn't really that much, is there? Mm-hmm. So that's true. I suppose the reason I would say D is because I really like the fight you have with her and all of those billions of people. It's really fucking annoying when they keep casting darkness.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult, interesting fight.
It is a good fight, yeah. I think we did that one like 10 times or something.
Yeah, before we finally figured out a system.
Yeah.
So I did like that, but okay, we've only got one in F. Maybe you're right. She is a bit of a non-character. Mattis isn't.
I put Mattis in. This is a tough one. Maybe B.
I put Mattis in B.
Yeah.
I think I like Mattis a lot, but his part is fine. He's there. He sells stuff. He's a bit of a pickpocket, but that's everything he sells is shit, which I guess is kind of the point.
But yeah, I think that's meant to be there. Like,
and B, nothing does really happen to him. It's just wherever he goes, he's there to sell some things. And like, at least with Moll, there's a sense of ambition to her and the risks of that and things. Where Mattis is kind of just sort of does what Moll suggests. And you don't really get an ending with that. You meet him even outside Baldur's Gate, and he's selling stuff again, and he's kind of forgotten about Moll. And I'm just like, where's the ending here?
Yeah, I think that says like more about like Moll as a character as well, though. Like,
yeah, I mean that's the main reason I marked Moll down, I think. But
yeah,
Mattis, well, in himself, he doesn't have too much character apart from he sells things.
No, but I don't really think he's meant to.
Is he? So he's but all right. The only thing we're basing on then is him being a cute kid.
Yeah.
And where did you put him?
B.
Oh, so did I. So I don't know why I'm arguing. All right, Moll.
I think Moll probably like marginally better than Mattis, but I'm probably also gonna put Moll in B.
I put Moll in B as well. I think the thing with Moll is I almost could have put her above Arabella. Because I think there's a lot of setup with Moll's story, and it's all interesting.
I loved Moll. Like, on our first playthrough, I don't know, seeing them again at, like, is it the Last Light Inn?
Yeah.
And, like, when she pops up to, like, vouch for you and stuff, I was so excited.
Yeah. And then when Moll gets taken, that was the thing you were most motivated to do.
Yeah, I wanted to find it, but then when you do, there's no story.
It does feel like they didn't finish writing it.
Yeah.
Like, there's all of this build. I mean, there's the build-up firstly about her contract with Raphael, and then she gets stolen, and you're going to Moonrise and you're looking for her, and you don't find her, and all the kids are still disappointed that they haven't found her.
Yeah.
And a bit of you's like, have I missed something, or am I supposed to move on? Do I find her later in Baldur's Gate? And then you get to Baldur's Gate, and you find Mattis and all of the other kids, and they, despite how sad they were about missing Moll,
there's no conversation about her anymore. No,
they seem to have forgotten Moll. And then you do find Moll in the Thieves Guild, whatever it's called. And she's just like, yeah, I escaped, I'm here. And it's like, oh, okay. And you don't get to talk to her about any of that, or to reunite with her friends, or if she's done something good. It's just like, I want to have this conversation with you, and the game is not letting me. Yeah,
we did find out, though, that there is a way to get a little more from her, isn't there? Because you can find her contract in the House of Hope.
Yeah.
But I still think even without that, there should be like some type of like reunion with the other children or something. Or at least some acknowledgement that they know she's okay.
I'd like to be able to tell them this is where Moll is and to know what they think about her doing that. So it feels like there's a lot of build-up with her. And there is the mystery about why she's taken as well. I still don't entirely know that. and then it doesn't really come to a head, and that does make it really disappointing. So I think B is fair. She could have been my favourite out of the kids, but she's not.
Yeah.
Dammon. I like Dammon a lot.
I like Dammon a lot as well.
Is that really where I put him? Where did you put him?
I think I have put Dammon in B.
I put him in B as well. And in a way, I don't entirely know why. I like Dammon. But could you say why you like Dammon?
Not specifically.
No. I don't think I could. I think I like his dynamics with Karlach, and there's a bit of interest about how he is a smith who got taken to work in Avernus, and that's kind of interesting. But he's not one who does particularly have a story. He's there for that function of making the heart work better for Karlach, and then kind of telling her, I can't do any more.
And he's a trader and stuff, isn't he? So you can just buy things off him.
Yeah.
So he's there for that as well. But
there's an odd aspect of this story there with Karlach that makes me think of like situations where a doctor has to say, I'm sorry, I've done everything I can for you. You're going to die, sort of thing. I don't think they say it in that words. But
yeah, I mean, he is there to pretty much solely set up Karlach's story.
And he does that well. It makes me think of that. It's quite emotive in that way. And I like that he gets his shop at the end. That's a nice little happy ending for him. I don't. That's something I really enjoy about this game when you do see it, is ordinary characters just getting an ordinary kind of happy ending.
Yeah.
Like, not a big heroics or anything. It's just, he's living his life, running a shop like he wants to, and that's all he needs. And I really like that. So it's hard to say anything bad about Dammon, but I think A would be too high.
I think if we're putting Mattis, who is, I'd say, on the same level as Dammon. I mean, they're there for the same purpose, kind of. If we're putting...
Dammon does a lot more for Karlach's story,
That's what I'm saying. But if we're putting Mattis in B, we can't put Dammon any lower.
Okay, where did you put Dammon?
B.
Okay, we'll go B. That's fine then. Orpheus.
I put Orpheus in D.
Did you? That feels quite low. Why D?
I'm not entirely sure. That's just what felt right.
I think I put him in C, and I think what lowers Orpheus for me is that there's all of this talk about him being a big person who's going to cause this big revolution, fight over Vlaakith, and going to be a great leader for the Githyanki, and I don't really get the sense that he is. And as at the end of Lae'zel's story, in our first campaign, Lae'zel went off to fight with him, and you just see like a Lae'zel hologram come to the camp, and you get the sense he's really stressed and there's a lot to do, and it doesn't feel like their war's really getting anywhere. And like that's interesting, but it also makes it feel a little bit like Lae'zel's story hasn't progressed, because she went from fully following Vlaakith and that person not really being quite the leader you hope they are, to fully following Orpheus and the same kind of disappointment happening again.
Yeah.
And that just kind of makes me feel a bit disheartened. It doesn't make it it's not unhappy ending, but it's not really a happy ending either. Maybe that's just we picked the wrong ending, I don't know.
Yeah, quite possibly.
What I do really like about Orpheus is the moral dilemma about whether you free him or not.
Yeah, but that's less about him as a character, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his character comes into that, because he's just a silent person wearing a mask for all of it.
Yeah.
His character only comes near the end after that. I think, yeah, he's as a tool, he's quite interesting for a story, but I don't think character-wise that's what delivers that. So I put him in C. I think D is a bit low.
Okay.
I think he does everything he needs to do. I just don't particularly like him, I guess. Alfira.
I think Alfira needs to go in B.
In B?
Or A.
I went A. But again, that one is just because I really like Alfira.
I really like her as well.
I really like the scene at the end of Moonrise Towers where she's making up songs with the kids to try and cheer them up, but they're too sad about Moll for it to really work. I really like that as an idea.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed when you meet her again at the pub.
Yeah, that's another one, I think even more so than Dammon, where it's like they get the happy ending is just living a normal life kind of thing.
Her and Lacrissa?
Yeah, who doesn't seem to be on this list to rank, which is a bit
odd.
No,
we'd probably rank them together, maybe.
Probably,
actually,
yeah.
I don't know, because I do prefer...
I prefer Alfira, but maybe that's because it's a nicer name.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got their stresses still at the end, and their life isn't quite perfect yet, but they've got something they're living towards. And I just think there's something really sweet about that. I find that more sweet than having a perfect happy ending where they get everything they want.
Like, it's normal, but normal's enough for them characters.
Yeah, it feels really wholesome. I think that's the reasons I would say A, but I don't think there's really any depth. I don't think her character means anything for any of the Origin characters.
I mean, she's wearing a very stylish outfit.
Yes, she does. She does look one of the coolest out of the tieflings, maybe.
Yeah.
Is she better than Volo?
I'd say possibly.
Is she better than Moll?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought you were going to say no to them, but all right, A it is. I don't know what I'm the one who originally ranked her A, and you said B, but yeah, okay, A. Roland.
S.
I think I went S as well. Roland's a really interesting one because he annoyed you a lot at the beginning of the first playthrough.
I think maybe I think until later on you don't fully understand his character, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think only on like the second playthrough you kind of pick up on like the kind of humour he has. He is very like sarcastic and...
Yeah. And he's in terms of what I was saying about story structure of Arabella, I think he gets a really good ending.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got the setup that he wants to go and train with Lorokan, and he's bragging about it, and then that turns out to be horrible, and then you help him overthrow it, and he becomes master of the tower. It's a good ending, and he's got his siblings there with him.
I also like all the like personal conflict within Roland's character as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that with the ending as well, that he gets to finally be powerful enough to feel like he is protecting his siblings.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what he's kind of wanted.
Because then they live in the tower with him as well, don't they?
Yeah, that's really quite sweet.
Yeah.
But I think he's fun as well. I genuinely just love the idea that in a kind of RPG world where you're always getting sent on quests to do things to help other people, he's this one guy who's really annoyed at how you keep helping everyone because he wants to be that, and he's like, stop completing quests for people.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy it when he's like getting drunk and the like kids are working behind the bar.
Yeah.
And he's just getting very annoyed at them and...
Yeah, and that's quite sweet in itself. I mean, there's a lot of grief there in that he's lost his siblings and he feels like it's his fault, and he's also feels like it's kind of your fault because we convinced them to stay. There's a lot of humour. There's also a lot of kind of sadness there. A really good character arc. Not like really good, but it's like really solid.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like I just find him a very intriguing character. And he's one that I kept hoping to see again. And
yeah, as far as the minor characters go, I think he's the one with the best story.
Yeah, I think it's the most complete story out of the minor characters.
I do. So I think S probably is fair. Vlaakith. I put Vlaakith in F.
I think I put Vlaakith in D, but I could go for F as well.
Well, it makes sense for a goddess, but all Vlaakith really does is shout at you.
Withers in a wig.
Yeah. I mean, her backstory is kind of interesting. Not that you really get that from her. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like the bit where she tells you to go and kill the Emperor in the thing as well. I don't know if that's as big a confrontation as I thought it would be. Like, she tells you to go and do it, and then she leaves even though you don't do it.
Yeah, I kind of don't really remember much of the Vlaakith kind of conversations and stuff from our first playthrough.
No.
I don't think any of it is memorable or...
And she's just very tall and she shouts at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Strange Ox.
I put Strange Ox in C.
So did I. I know that without even looking. I'm surprised Strange Ox is on this list because it doesn't. I mean, that is a very minor character.
Yeah, that Strange Ox is on this list, but Lacrissa isn't.
I mean, Strange Ox is just that. It's just an animal where you're told it's a strange ox, and you're going, okay, there's something strange about this ox. And then, if you're able to, in whatever way, you find out and you have a fight, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Which is fine for... I mean, it is an interesting minor character. I think I'm just very intrigued as to why this, whatever the creature was called, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Why it wanted to be an ox. Does it really just want to be an ox? Is this a disguise for some bigger plan, or is it literally just eating hay is my best life?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping there'd be more to it than that.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it would be like... Because didn't it have like a similar voice to Raphael?
I think it was the same voice actor, yeah.
So we were like, oh, is this Strange Ox Raphael? Like, spying on you? Because like the Strange Ox went to like each look kind of followed you along the journey. But no. I was still very intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think in terms of like a very minor character, it does the job absolutely fine. I can't complain about Strange
On the first playthrough, we didn't do the whole speaking to them thing, as in like animal speaking.
Yeah, we didn't really realise that was a thing, did we?
And the entire game, I was kind of like, what is going on with that strange ox? So there was that intrigue, but once you actually figure out what it is, it's kind of like a bit, nah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's disappointing though. I think it's fine.
It is what it is.
C's fair.
Yeah.
Hope.
I put Hope in B.
So did I. We've got a very similar list so far. I find Hope very manic, and that makes sense for her character. Sort of the real desperate but also panicked hope that you can save her. There's a lot of barking outside, you might be able to hear. And also like the worry of what if you don't, and Raphael's mad about this.
Yeah.
I really like that. There's a vague thing about her sister which I never quite understood either, like because I'm not entirely certain of if she is named Hope or if she is the embodiment of hope.
That's something that I was kind of confused about, but I do know the talk about the sister made me cry a little.
It did, didn't it? It made you cry.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was just quite a touching bit.
I think it's a good voice acting performance as well from Hope. I don't know who the voice actor is. It's a small part within Raphael's story, and it's done well. And she really saved us in the fight with Raphael, actually.
That was a really annoying fight as well.
Yeah, so B's fair. Delivered well as a character.
Yeah.
Astarion, darling.
I put Astarion in S.
I did as well. I think people would riot if we didn't. Well, they probably wouldn't riot, but
no.
I like to imagine they would.
Which is weird, because earlier we were saying how Gale's story feels a bit tacked on the end, but I'd say Astarion's story feels even more so, because his story doesn't necessarily link to any of the other stories. He's just there like, this is what happened to me.
I think there is a big argument to say Astarion is A based on that, and I think also his story is the most straightforward in that you meet him, he talks a lot about Cazador, and there's a build up to that, and then you realise there's a kind of chance to fight Cazador and stop him becoming more powerful, and then you do that. And there's not like any twists really along the way. Yeah,
but I also like the conflict of within like Astarion's character of wanting to ascend and be this kind of higher being after pretty much being someone's slave for however many years.
I suppose that's the moral dilemma to it, about how easily Astarion could just become another Cazador. But I don't think along the way there's any like big, like with Gale, suddenly there's a big wizard telling him he's got to be a bomb and he's going to blow up. And you're like, oh my god, this is another level to the story.
Yeah.
I don't think Astarion kind of has that equivalent in a way a lot of the other characters do.
I'd say his equivalent is probably his back scar, but even then that's not necessarily a big thing. But that's but saying that though, I do still think he is S. Because...
Well, I think personality he definitely delivers.
Yeah.
I think it's my favourite. I think it's the strongest voice acting performance out of the main characters. I think the bit where you're getting close to the Cazador fight and he's still very sort of jokey, but there's so much nervousness and anxiety in his voice, I think is really well acted.
Yeah.
And he is the most fun out of the main characters. Are you attracted to Astarion? I'd say that as a yes.
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially.
More than Gale?
No.
Good, because you said Gale looks like me. That's your reason, yeah? Because he looks like me.
Yes, that's the only reason. I guess he just fits into the kind of characters that I enjoy, kind of.
He is really enjoyable. I think that's the main reason anyone would put him in S, because it's very enjoyable. And it's a solid performance. I like a lot of his story. I don't, as much as I've argued reasons he could be an A, I don't think he is. I think he's S.
No, because I think, like, say we've got Wyll at the beginning of A. I think Astarion's story is way stronger than Will's.
don't know if the story is, but I think the character definitely. And I suppose it is a good tension in his story where you're like, is he going to become someone villainous? Can I prevent this? And that kind of thing. Yeah. So
also, kind of knowing that if you do like kind of go through with like getting rid of like the tadpoles in your head, that does mean that Astarion can never go out in the sun again.
Yeah.
And I think that scene at the end where he like runs off, like I was crying.
I found that a kind of comic scene. But...
I think it probably was meant to be comical, but I found it quite sad. Like this person who's spent their entire life a slave kind of has to hide away again.
Yeah.
And I find it quite sad.
That is quite tragic, really, isn't it? Yeah. Sazza. Can you remember Sazza?
Nope.
I recognise her face. I know I had a conversation with her. I just can't remember any of it. I think she was at Moonrise. Or it was either that or Goblin Cat. I don't know.
I think it could have been Moonrise, but I don't know.
I don't know if I'm forgetting her because she's not a memorable character. Or if it's because she's a goblin. There's like that slight inbuilt, I suppose it's racism really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In like the fantasy world where goblins aren't often seen as much like characters. They're more, I mean, in games where a lot of the fun is killing things, part of you just see the goblins as things to kill. I don't know if that's the reason I've forgotten her. Am I faintly racist towards goblins?
Maybe you should play. Can you play as goblins?
No, I wish you could. I'd find that really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's that. but I do feel that in general about the goblins, though, in this story, that they don't really get enough as characters themselves. They're kind of just the lowly grunts for the absolute. I don't think there are any real goblins that do stand out beyond that.
I agree. I think.
I think Sazza might actually be the one that argues with Getherick Thorm. But even
so, the one that argues and then gets killed pretty much right away. Yeah.
Even so, I don't think there are any goblins that really stand out and get to be anything other than what goblins are expected to be. And yeah, I suppose for that reason it's D.
Yeah.
Barkus Root.
I put Barkus in C.
I put him in B.
How come?
Because I think I like the idea of how hard he's trying to save someone who's not that great.
Yeah.
And I find there's a real fun sort of
like desperation almost to him.
Yeah. And there's a very sort of sophistication to Barkus Root. He's slightly sort of uppity the way he talks to you at points. He gets annoyed when you tell him how his things are going and he's trying to be busy. I find that fun.
Saying that though, we are only on our first playthrough. We did fling him off a windmill.
Yeah.
So
I didn't mean to. I didn't think that would happen.
Well, I think it was me that did it.
Yeah.
I think I just abruptly pressed a button and he went flying.
And then we thought, we might meet him later on. No, he's dead.
So we are only like halfway through Act 2, right? Currently.
Yeah.
So who knows? For all we know, he could turn into this villain.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will. But as of right now, I think I would put him in C.
He strikes me as a slightly disgruntled but very upstanding, loyal gentleman, and I quite like that. And I think his introduction on a windmill is a very strong introduction.
Yeah. I do like that bit.
So on that, I would say B. I think he delivers more than. I don't think he's fine as a character. I think he's slightly better than that.
Okay.
I mean, do you prefer him to Tara and Zevlor and Strange Ox?
Probably, yeah.
I think there's more to him than them.
Yeah.
Okay. B. Auntie Ethel.
S.
Petal. Did you? I did. I didn't think. I thought I was going to have to really argue that one.
No. I do think probably one of the most fun characters in the game.
I mean, part of me thinks she's my favourite out of the villains.
Yeah.
Which probably is kind of surprising because she's not really in it that much. Raphael's probably my favourite villain, I think. But I just think her character is really strong. I think I really liked her when I first met her and I thought she was just like a charming old lady.
Yeah, like sweet little lady.
Yeah. And I was keen to go visit her. I didn't think she was going to help in any way, but I thought it would be nice to visit her. And then you find out she's a hag, and there's a kind of moral dilemma to do with Mayrina, and she's got a lot of odd insults that like sound oddly formed. I can't remember how. She uses like ordinary insults like bollocks and things, but in a slightly odd way.
Clever clogs.
Yeah, she says clever clogs a lot. I suppose her fights are slightly disappointing. I think the fights could have been better.
Especially the second one.
Yeah.
Because I remember us thinking, oh, like, we've got to brace ourselves. This is going to be like a big fight.
Yeah.
And I think it was over in like a couple of minutes.
So that's true.
Yeah.
But I just think she's a really fun villain, and I would have liked her to come back again and again and again. Those are one of those, that's the kind of villain where it would just be fun getting to endlessly thwart her.
Yeah.
And her being really annoyed about that. And a hag is just a really cool idea. The way they kind of set up shop, ruining people's lives with deals, is a cool idea. And she's very petty, and it's just really fun.
She's very good.
Her lair is cool as well.
The voice acting is very good as well.
I mean, that's what sells it, really, isn't it? It's a great voice acting performance. The Emperor.
I put the Emperor in C.
I put him in A, but I'm actually thinking B maybe.
How come?
Well, because story-wise, he does deliver for a lot of the game.
That is true,
He is a big bit of the story. He creates a lot more dilemmas, and there's also... I mean, the first playthrough, I was questioning throughout, should I be trusting this person or not?
Yeah.
And I find it quite fun, the way they do just constantly manipulate and gaslight you. And part of me is like, are they just... Maybe they're right. Because I think they're doing a good thing. I think they're trying to fight for the right thing, but they're also horrible to you throughout.
Yeah, like they're fighting for the right cause, but going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a kind of fun sort of split where it's like, this is someone who it's worth working with, but I also don't like them at all, and I kind of want them to die.
I kind of think for me, one of the reasons why maybe I would put them a bit lower is I think the whole like dream visitor thing.
The Guardians.
Like, yes, yeah. I think that kind of annoyed me more than intrigued me.
I mean, it intrigued me on the first playthrough.
Yes, but then I think like I think it's meant to be seen as like this revelation when you figure out they're not like real or whatever. But I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, it does make it, because I was invested in who these people are as characters, and then suddenly they're not characters. I suppose there is that kind of, and then it makes on a second playthrough the conversations with the Guardians. You just kind of want to skip through them.
I find myself just kind of like going quite quick through
because
the
you know
conversation.
they're not real.
Yeah.
So that's true. I think also it's not really fair, but what lets him down, I think, as well, is the voice acting performance is just the sort of in your head mind flayer effect, and that means there isn't much really interesting. Sometimes it's quite hard to hear his voice, I think. He can't deliver a powerful voice or a really emotive a voice. And I think that could have added another layer to him. That would have made it more interesting, trying to pick out when he's lying and when he's not. But obviously, as a mind flayer, that's not how he speaks. So I can't really mark him down for that exactly. The revelation he was bolder, that's quite cool.
Yes, yeah.
That's about all I can say, I think.
I just felt really bad for the dragon.
I did as well. I didn't want to kill that dragon.
No.
So where did you put him? C?
Yeah.
Or B?
I put him in C.
I think he's better than C.
Okay. Well, you put A, right?
But I'd go with B.
I was going to say, can we meet in the middle? And
yeah, I'll do that. Mayrina.
I put Mayrina in C.
I did as well. I think the thing Mayrina's got going for her is the whole kind of tension about whether or not you can actually bring Connor back to life. And it's both disappointing for a story when you can't, but also I think quite fitting of the idea of like that she kind of does just have to move on, and that would have been the better idea.
I mean, it's a bit harder to move on when you've got a zombie version of your husband.
Yeah, but we didn't necessarily have to tell her to do that.
No, but I was intrigued.
She does, I mean, likability wise, she does sacrifice her child to try and bring him back.
Yes.
So she's not. I don't dislike her though.
I think on the second meeting of her, I think you kind of get the desperation of
her I understand her.
Him back.
I think the little bits she tells about her relationship with Connor are very sweet. I never disliked her at all, apart from when she was having a right go at you. But I kind of understood that even.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that she tries to set up this group to fight hags. Is quite a cool idea. I think yeah, she's a minor character and she does her job fine.
And I think when you meet her again, I genuinely was excited to see her character.
So was I. I was interested to see what happened to them. Yeah, Halsin.
I put Halsin in B.
I put him in C.
Okay.
I think you get a long time with Halsin because you meet him in Act 1. I think out of the sort of characters that join your bands, though, there's less to him than Jaheira. I think he's not fun in a way Minsc is either.
No, but
he's very stoic and stern and solid, and that makes sense for his character. And I think he's the one. He's kind of the one I would most be like, maybe, or most want to be like, living as a druid.
I mean, you want to turn into a bear as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'd love to be a bear, but I don't know. Character, what he makes ducks. That's a thing. He knew Faniel for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's kind of all I can say.
I don't think his character is very strong, but I enjoy having him around.
I do.
And I think C would be slightly unfair because I think there is more to it. Well, I don't know more to the character, but I think like he is equal to like Dammon and Moll, Mattis.
I don't know. I think if he was a minor character, I'd be saying he's B. But because he is actually a character who's quite important and
you can play as him.
Yeah.
And I think that might be why we haven't really played using him as like a character yet.
No, we haven't. But even so, I don't. For a character you can have that much time with, and who is there for so much of the story. Yeah. There's not that much going on.
And I feel like there is a bit where you can choose whether you want to like romance him or not. And if you don't, he gets proper funny about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then just doesn't really speak to you. But I personally don't feel like putting him in the same category as the Strange Ox is fair.
I do though, because I mean, the Strange Ox is a very, very minor character. Halsin isn't, and I don't think he over delivers in how important his character is. Fine job.
I don't know. I still think.
All right.
B.
He who was. Do you have much to say about him?
Not particularly. I put him in D.
I did as well, which is, I mean, he's only a tiny little sub quest in it, but I find him slightly annoying, and I just feel like he's the crow.
Yeah, he is. I love the look of his character.
I kind of do, but
it is very crow.
Yeah, and a lot of people might really like him, but he just feels a bit too edgy to me, I think.
Yeah.
Near, he's another one that's hard to rank.
Also, I put in D because they're kind of a non-character. I mean, in our playthrough anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we met him.
We freed him from a rock and then immediately killed him.
Yeah, and then chopped his head off.
It's kind of hard. That's what probably makes these tier lists so different, because depending on how you play the game, you can have very different views of characters. That is probably all I'll say about him. Where did you put a Melon?
I put a Melon in B.
So did I. I was tempted to put him even higher, but I don't think I can necessarily. He's one when he's in that submarine. Although it's not a great situation, I was really happy to see him again though, because I like Amelum a lot.
Yeah.
I think I especially like him because he's a good foil to the Emperor and shows that the Mind Flayers can actually be alright. They're not necessarily all like that. And I think that's just really important in the game. And he's very cool. I like his relationship with Blurg. I like that he's basically just going about doing science, and that's how he wants.
Mushrooms and such, right?
Yeah, and that's how he wants to live. It's cool.
Yeah.
So he's just a good guy. That's probably it I can say about him. Glut?
On our first playthrough, I thought Glut was fine.
Well, he died in battle.
He died during our battle, so we didn't get any kind of more to the character. Yeah. But on the second playthrough, after the battle, he kind of wants to turn on all the spore.
Yeah, the head of them, I've forgotten, the Sovereign. He wants to set up his own instead, which is quite a big leap, really, because he goes from, "Excuse me, sir, I hear you're going to fight the Dwegar. I'd like to come with you and fight," to then immediately, "Let's overthrow the entirety of the sport." It's quite a big leap to expect that of us.
Yeah, I just kind of didn't really care for the character. I wasn't bothered.
He doesn't put any compelling argument for it.
No.
He's also called Glut, which makes you not think he's maybe the best guy. Where did you put him?
D, I think.
I put him in C because I think it's interesting.
It is, but I think it lasts so little time, like, that it was just kind of none to me.
Yeah, but he is a very minor character.
Yeah.
Okay. Bernard, or Bernard, I don't know how it is. He's a robot, and you have to quote bits of a play, and he either kills you or gives you a potion, I think.
Yeah, I think I've put him in C.
I think I liked the fight.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying, but...
It was a difficult one.
Yeah.
I think it's just a fun little thing that there's a robot at the top of Wizard's Tower, and you have to quote plays. I quite like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he's not really a character, I wouldn't say.
I like the look of the character as well.
Yeah, but that's kind of all there is to him. So I think C's fair. He's got a very, very minor part, and that's all he is. He's a robot. Mm-hmm. He's a robot who stands there. Nine Fingers Keen.
I think Nine Fingers probably goes in C as well, in my opinion.
Me too. Which kind of feels unfair because she's pretty cool, and I think it's well delivered voice acting performance. But it also just to me, I think, feels like a stock leader of a Thieves Guild type character.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wouldn't say there's much more to her. I wouldn't say there's any real hooks that invested me.
No, I agree.
I quite like the idea that she wants to kill Minsc and you have to sort of stop that and save him if you want to. But I don't think character-wise there's too much. Right, the computer just died, so we've turned it on again. We're picking up back where we were, and yeah, we just done Keen, I think, was it?
Yes.
And now is Voss, Kithrak Voss, which is a hard one to...
It'd help if I had my bit of paper.
A hard one to rate, I think, because I don't much like him.
I don't, but like I did enjoy bumping into him in like the random places you see him and stuff.
I mean,
But like as a character, I don't really care.
No, I mean, when you first meet him at that bridge, where he's on his dragon and he flies off.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I feel like he's going to be a really intense villain or something. Or he's going to get some great confrontation with him, and you don't really. You never like get to him. He kind of just then turns up at your camp out of nowhere, and it kind of lessens how powerful, I suppose, he feels.
Yeah, and then you meet him again in the sewers, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think his character started off very, very strong and then just kind of flatlined into being a one-note kind of character. And I don't think I just don't think it really...
I think the thing I can say for him, though, is he is important to the story somewhat. He does kind of add the moral dilemma where he's bargaining with Raphael for the Orphic Hammer.
Yeah, true.
And you get the moral dilemma of whether to help him or not. And that side of it, I suppose he's also an ally with Lae'zel for the helping Orpheus, which again feeds into that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know, I mean, you got 3 Githyanki characters really in Orpheus, Lae'zel and Voss, and part of me wonders if he's entirely needed. I don't know. I mean, I think he is, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's not that impactful because there's already quite a few.
You've also got
characters.
Blackith as well, right?
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
But I don't know. I think he's needed, but I think they could have done more with the character to make it more. I can't explain.
I don't like his design. I don't think either. I don't like the look of him.
No. I think his hair's ridiculous.
Yes, but I did put him in B by the looks of it.
I think I put him in C.
Unless this was I've got 2 different lists here, because I wrote one and then decided I didn't like it and rewrote another one before we started, and I can't tell which list is which anymore.
I guess just go with what you think as of right now, not...
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think probably C. I think, yeah, he's another one who's got his function in the story, and he plays an important part in the story. And I don't think there's anything I criticise him about him as a character, but I don't think there's anything where you feel like he really delivers as a person. I can't say the voice acting's that memorable for him either.
I can't really remember what his voice sounds like.
I think he does a good job, but it didn't stand out to me.
No. Like, some characters have such strong voice acting that you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
But he is not one of them.
I think he's very solid, and I think C's probably makes sense for that then.
Yeah, I'd say like he's on a level with Orpheus, who we've also put in C.
Yeah. Karlach?
S.
Yes. I mean, I said that as well.
Out of all the female characters in Baldur's Gate, I think she's my favourite. I
think she is probably the most likeable character, possibly out of all of them, actually. I don't think that necessarily makes her the best character. I don't know. I suppose we haven't come to that
I don't
yet.
think she's the best, but I think she's my favourite female one anyways.
Yeah, I think she is mine as well. I mean, I think she's more... There's more about her that's endearing than Shadowheart and Lae'zel, naturally.
I think she feels like more of a person than the other characters do. Like, she's the kind of person that you could see yourself hanging out with.
I mean, that's true.
She's more personable than I think, like, Shadowheart obviously isn't kind of meant to be because she doesn't really remember who she is. And Lae'zel is very much just straight to the point. But...
Yeah, I mean, well, both of them are quite like quest mission focused, aren't they?
Yeah,
and Karlach's much more just happy to be enjoying freedom.
And she's very, very sweet.
Yeah. I think that does make her more relatable to the player because, I mean, as much as you are playing for missions, you're playing a game for fun.
And I think you do start to form attachments to the characters once you're playing for, like, I think our first playthrough was, like, 200 plus hours.
Yeah.
So I think you do start to feel attached to the characters, and I think Karlach is one of the characters that you do feel more attached to. And at the end, when there is a chance that she is going to just die, I was crying at that bit.
Yeah,
it was very, very sad.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably... you didn't quite like her at first, did you? You weren't sure to begin with.
I wasn't sure, but then I think you're kind of given this misconception of who she is through Wyll.
Yeah.
Before you even meet her. Then when you do meet her, it's kind of like oh, here we go.
I mean, I forgot about that. That's quite a nice, interesting angle to the start of her story, because it's very possible you could just kill her before really experiencing anything, which is quite interesting. I like that about her. I think the whole heart in the chest, it kind of at times feels like a story about terminal illness, that I can't not find that moving. I mean,
you did say about Dammon that he feels like a doctor who has to break bad news of. Like,
I'm sorry, there's nothing more we can do. It is that sort of feel to it, and I really like that, because when it's in a fantasy setting like this, it doesn't feel like too real to be like, but all of the emotion is still there behind it. It's kind of like a play therapy thing. But I think because it is a game, I mean, I think if this was a film, like a cinematic film, someone like Shadowheart would probably be better, because she's much more dramatic and there's much more of a driven, clear story there, where most of Karlach's is just trying to enjoy the life she's got left. And for a game, I think that suits really well.
Yeah, because I think if every character was just like plot-driven, quest-driven, then it would become very like one-note, kind of maybe dull after a while.
Yeah.
But she kind of adds like a nice element of, I'm just here for a good time until...
Not to say there's less to a story, because I don't think there is. It's
I
just
think
as heartfelt.
I think Karlach's story is possibly one of my favourites out of the main.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, the Gortash angle I really like as well. The idea of being tricked when you're young and naive and feel invincible.
Yeah.
And sold away.
And that was one of the saddest scenes, wasn't it? When after Moll has made her deal with Raphael, or potentially made the deal with Raphael, and if you're playing as Karlach, she kind of warns Moll or like talks about how she's seen it before, and
well, the other thing she said after, wasn't it? It was like, it's sad seeing kids make the same mistakes you did, knowing there's nothing you can say to stop them. It is sad, that idea. And she's just a good person as well. I mean, that she's got that going for her. She's a good person. I could have said that about Gale mostly as well. Mostly? Yeah, probably. All right. Have we exhausted her then? S?
I think so. I think, she belongs there.
All right, Cazador.
This is a tough one, because you hear a lot about Cazador as the story progresses through Astarion alone.
Yeah.
You don't see him until pretty much kind of near the end.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge him as a character based on the character and not what you hear about the character from other characters.
Yeah.
Because I think when you meet him, there's not a great amount of dialogue. I mean, I do like the conversation between like Astarion and Cazador when they do meet and things like that.
I liked the surprise of how easily Astarion got pinned to that thing. I didn't expect that to happen.
I was not like, I remember just being like, no, we have to save him. I'm not letting this happen. So it is hard to know where to put him.
I think my problems with him are kind of what we said about Viconica, in that you don't meet him until when you're really killing him. It's different because you do get a lot of build-up, you do hear a lot about him, and it does make, and even when you're exploring through his mansion or whatever it is, manor, I think.
Yeah, I really liked that bit, to be fair.
That's a real build-up, and you get quite tense to meeting him.
It does feel like a build-up to nothing in a way.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, I think, the fight was very underwhelming. I think it was kind of hard because there was lots of other things to kill, but when we killed everything other than him, he was just...
He just kind of stood there, didn't he? Like
swanning about, not doing much, yeah. And that's really underwhelming when you're supposed
Yeah.
to see him as intimidating and powerful and this kind of torturer figure. And also his voice, I don't think... I think his voice probably does suit the character, actually, but...
It's not... I think maybe because it wasn't what we were expecting.
It kind of reminds me of David Mitchell. I think that's my problem. And I can't not think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of great build-up that doesn't under-deliver, I don't think, because it's not going to be anything more. You know, it's not like he's going to be a massive part of the story going ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also think part of the problem is there isn't really any twist to it.
No. I think I would have found the Cazador kind of entire fight scene bit probably quite dull in a way if it wasn't for the emotion that Astarion brings to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's more towards the voice acting behind Astarion than anything. I think it is very good in that bit.
Yeah, I did. I think that's probably true. I think it's Astarion that elevates it more than Cazador.
Yeah.
But I put him in D.
I put him in... Well, for some reason I don't think I've written him, but I would go D.
Oh, okay, alright. We'll just go D then.
Yeah.
Older Ravengard, Wyll's dad. Where did you put him?
I put him in C. But I could go D even because I don't know, I think the character is just kind of a bit lackluster.
I think that. I mean, I can't remember whether I said this earlier about Wyll or not. But I see him as like your stereotypical hero type character. Did I say that?
You did say this earlier,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, as a result, because they're quite similar in that sense, it isn't that yeah, we did say this, didn't we? About the conflict between them not being really there. It's
kind of like you've met Wyll, so then when you expect to meet his dad, you kind of expect to meet someone completely different to Wyll, but you're pretty much just meeting a Wyll 2.0.
I feel like there's
more boring.
Well, there's the two older Ravenguards as well. There's the older Ravengard who's got the tadpole in him.
Yes,
and he's controlled. And then he comes to your camp and he's not controlled for the tadpole, and he's pretty much the same. So I think that
I've never thought about that, but yeah. Not a lot changes.
Not that it should change your entire personality, but
no, but I think they should have had more fun with his character when he did have the tadpole.
But I think they at least could have made it more tragic.
Yeah.
When he's got the tadpole in him, because I mean you see it get put into him early on when you're at a distance.
Yeah.
And it is in him, and he swears in Gortash, and you can briefly have a conversation where you try to talk to him.
Oh yeah, isn't there kind of like a scene when he does fight the tadpole in his head, and like you do have that kind of nice, and that is quite a nice bit. But I do think they could have done more with his character, like tadpole and untadpoled.
I mean, especially untadpoled. At the end of the game, I do think there are aspects of this game where it's like so big they couldn't quite write perfect endings for everyone, and I think he's one of those people who kind of he ends up just sort of there in camp.
You don't really get a lot of dialogue from him. You don't.
No.
It's just.
So I think probably D.
Yeah.
Mizora?
See, I had Mizora in D as well.
Did you?
Yeah, but now we've talked about Wyll's dad and and all that, I'd say I'd put her in C potentially.
I went B actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I think Mizora's problem is that she's very similar to Raphael, and she's never going to be quite as good because A, she doesn't sing her own songs.
Yeah.
She doesn't get her own House of Hope to explore.
But I'd say she's the same level of sexy as Raphael.
Would you?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Even with the eyes like that?
Yeah, there's something about her, you know.
Is it the voice, is it?
She does have a nice voice.
Yeah. Okay, well...
Anyways.
Still not as good as Raphael, though. Doesn't get her own theme song, doesn't get a House of Hope. You don't get to have any kind of real fight with it. It's frustrating. I mean, this probably makes sense, but it is frustrating when you just keep wanting to kill her and you never get a chance.
Yeah, I also find it like a bit odd, like when she pretty much joins your camp and like she's just stood by Wyll the entire time, and it's just a bit like, what's going on?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Like.
I kind of wish she'd mess about with you more in camp.
Yeah.
When she's there, as opposed to sort of standing and listening for a lot of it. I mean, you do have to save her, to be fair. You could get her killed earlier on when she gets caught. There's that much.
Yeah, but then I don't know what would happen after that to Wyll's story.
Yeah.
If you don't.
I think she's a really good character for Wyll. I think she obviously ties between Karlach and Wyll as well, and she does a good job with that. And she is quite fun and annoying in similar ways to Raphael, but because she's not as good as Raphael, that does reflect badly on her, which is a bit unfair.
Yeah. I think she's a good villain in her own right.
Yeah.
But compared to some of the other villains, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two smarmy devils in the same game. You get the option to sleep with Azora in the game as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do that on the next playthrough.
Yeah, well, the next playthrough, I was like... The last two, we've kind of been like, oh, we're going to focus on this person, romance one person, and then kind of just go through the game with the one companion.
Yeah.
But next time we play, I'm just going to get with everyone.
Alright, so
I do want to have a playthrough, though, where I do pick Wyll as a companion, because I think you said that in the end you may be able to adopt a child with Wyll.
I think I've heard that, yeah.
And I'm very curious to see if that happens. So
where would you put Mazora?
Sorry, that was a bit of a side note.
I said B.
I said C, but looking at the people we have in C...
I think she's better than them,
I think she's a lot better than all of them, and I even would say that she's possibly better than a few of the people in B as well. So I think B is the best place to put her.
Harley, that's a hard one to judge.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember he's the one that looks like Raphael?
The one that tries to get you to sleep with him, and take your clothes off.
Yeah, he's a fun character, but he's also got a really tiny part.
Yeah.
I put him in C, I think, on the basis of that, really, and he does his job very well.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, I think it's a good role. I think it made me laugh. It
reveals another side of Raphael.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'd expect of Raphael, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a big surprise, but there we go. I think, yeah, he's a strong character.
Alright, Elminster next?
Elminster.
And we just stopped. Also, we've got bangers and mash now, by the way. Not that this is a mukbang, but it's late and we need to eat. Elminster, where did you put Elminster?
Put Elminster in B.
B? I put him in S.
Okay.
Shall I go first then? To defend the S cause? Well, I mean, it's because I think he's one of the most, what's the word, gregarious, eccentric characters in the story, and I think you need characters like this in this kind of game. I think that was one of the things about Divinity Original Sin 1, one of Larian's earlier games, that I really loved, was how just whimsical and ridiculous so much of it was, and all of the characters had stupid lines all of the time.
Yeah. And then my favourite was there was a summoning character thing called Nick.
Yeah.
And you could bring him out during fights, and he would say the most stupid stuff, but it was great.
I enjoyed him. And then they got to Divinity Original Sin 2, and they toned a lot of that down so that it didn't, I suppose, put a lot of people off and didn't undercut some of the darker themes that were there.
It's still a very funny and fun game, though.
Yeah.
I love that game so much.
I think Baldur's Gate's added a bit more whimsy maybe again with characters like Elminster.
And Minsc.
And Minsc and Boo, yeah. And you need that, especially because this is a game and it is having fun as much as there's a lot to enjoy in the story and the drama and the emotion of it. It's also good to just have some people who are a bit ridiculous. Volo's another one, obviously.
Even none of them were on this list, but a lot of the characters at the circus.
Yeah, I love that.
A lot of them were really fun kind of side characters, Popper.
Popper's one of my favourites, I think.
Yeah.
I love those kind of bits of this game. Because that's just what makes the world feel that extra special and worth exploring, I think. Because otherwise it is just going around for finding quests and loot, and it's things like that make it, that and all of the moral dilemmas that give it an extra edge.
Yeah, and I think it's especially the characters though that make you want to explore literally everything and try and find everything just in case there is a hint of more to these characters or.
So I think in regard to that, Elminster is just a really, really fun character for the short bit he's there. I think he's obviously fun as a parody of Gandalf. It's quite just feels like Gandalf even in the voice actor choice.
And you enjoy his erotica collection.
I forgot about that, but yes, that is another facet to him. He's a dirty old man. I love the dialogue he has with Gale, how just both verbose and rambling it is, and it's just annoying Gale that he's not getting to the point and he starts making puns to do with food. It's just fun. That's my favourite kind of fun, where it's just a bit odd and leaves you kind of backpedaling, trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, to be fair, we have Volo in B, and I do think Volo does somewhat seem like a worse version of Elminster.
Yeah, I kind of think
I think
that.
they are kind of very similar. Like, they're same kind of like eccentric, but I think it's done better with Elminster than it is Volo.
I do. And I think, like, in a way it seems ridiculous putting him in S because he is such a minor character, but I also think with the minor part he plays, he does a really, really good job in terms of a comic relief person as well. But he does also deliver some pretty tragic news at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's not to say he's completely comic relief. But, I mean, we put, Scratch and Elbeck up in there.
And Arabella.
Yeah, kind of for being cute, at least the first two. I think Elminster I think he deserves S for being fun.
Okay.
I think he's the most fun character in the game, even if he's barely there.
You should have made F for fun.
Yeah.
And put all the fun characters in there.
I mean, that would have worked, wouldn't it? That would be Minsc and Boo and him and a few others.
Volo, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, is that ridiculous, S? Because I'm putting him higher than Minsc. Is that fair? When Minsc also delivers as much fun, but also has story to him?
I said B, so maybe we could just meet in the middle and put him in A.
Okay, alright. A. Okay, Isabel.
I think when we first met Isabel, I was very, very intrigued about her as a character.
Yeah.
Because then also, like, finding out that she's Ketheric Thorm's daughter, and all this lot, and she's been brought back, hasn't she? And
yeah.
I was super duper intrigued, like, where her character and story would go within the game, but it just doesn't go anywhere.
No. I mean, she looks really cool.
She does.
I find her relationship with Dame Aylin confusing because you don't really get the chance to see any chemistry between them.
No.
And Dame Aylin is like super stern and serious and on point and things, and you don't get that from Isabel. And it'd be nice to sort of see how that gels against each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we've been saying this about a lot of characters. Part of me feels like it's unfair because not every character needs to go into the third act. But
they don't. But I think once you've set up a character to be an important character, and then they kind of just don't.
I suppose what it is there isn't really a conclusion. I would have liked her to be more sad about Ketheric's death or something.
Or at least some, like, big acknowledgement of...
Yeah. I mean, catching herself by surprise and grief would have been, I think, the interesting one. But anything. A bit more to do with it. Because she's kind of there and she's using the spells to help the Last Light in. And then try and capture her, and you find out because she's Ketheric's daughter, and she doesn't want to be captured, and you kill him, and it's kind of, yay, you've also saved.
love that fight. I think it's a very fun fight.
Do you?
Yeah, the one at the Last Light.
I like that one a lot as well, yeah. But yeah, it's kind of underwhelming, I think. And she does look cool.
Yeah, I think out of all, like, the female characters, I think she looks one of the coolest.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. But that's kind of all I can say about her, I think. So I put her in C. Where did you go?
I think I put her in C as well. Yeah.
Okay, C it is. Carnis, the spidery man with a lantern.
He's another one. His character looks very cool.
Yeah.
And I was super intrigued when we met him, but I mean, we kill. Well, I don't know how it goes if you don't.
I can't imagine he's anything other than a minor character.
Yeah. But we killed him quite quickly after meeting him.
Yeah.
So I can't really say a lot about him as a character because we don't really know.
No, but I mean, he does that. He looks cool. I find him really interesting. I like the way he keeps saying Majesty. It makes me think of like Gollum saying precious.
Yeah.
I find that really fun, and he's got he shouts at you like anything if you leave the light of his lantern. I find him really interesting and fun. Yeah. I kind of want to put him in B for that. I think he's more interesting than a lot of the people in C, even if he's barely in it.
Yeah, I did put him in C though.
So it's between B and C then. I mean, all right, okay. Well, do you prefer him to Orpheus?
Probably, yeah. But I'm not that bothered about Orpheus.
Isabel?
No.
Okay, C it is. Zarel, that's a hard one to mark also because we just killed her.
Is she the one at Moonrise?
Yeah,
Towers?
and she's sort of like I don't know, a lieutenant or something in charge there, telling you what to do. And I did really want to kill her, so I'll give her credit for that. She just struck me as your typical kind of thug-like lieutenant leader character.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything special about the character. I don't think it was
No.
a standout performance, but...
So I put her in C on the basis of that, I think,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
That it's fine. We're doing some of these quite quickly, but I suppose they're not big characters there, are they?
When it comes to some of the bigger characters, we will probably go into it more. It's just
the next two.
Yeah.
And well, Kefric Thorm he is a big character. Yeah, I mean he's a
for the first and the second act, right?
Second, I think. I don't think.
Does he
really...
ever get mentioned in the first? Probably,
but yeah.
Yeah, let's say the second act is the big kind of. Yeah, where did you put him?
I went C. I could go D in a way, which feels really unfair. I mean, even C kind of feels unfair, but...
I went D.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not just me then.
There's a lot that I don't like. I think, when it comes to the voice acting, I think it is one of my least favourite in the entire game. Because when you were telling me that J.K. Simmons was in it, I was like, oh, that's really cool, like, I can't wait to...
Yeah.
And then when we got there, we just kind of looked at each other and were like...
I mean, for a lot of people, it works. I think a lot of people really, really enjoy his sort of very numb and husk of a man type performance, which is a cool idea, and I think certainly makes sense for the character. I just don't... There's something about the performance that just doesn't really grip me.
I couldn't take it seriously in a way.
Yeah.
It just felt, I don't know, way too dramatic.
I really like the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Something holds me back on that.
I do think it is amazing, though, that Larian have got, like, such big names in this game.
Yeah.
It says a lot for, like...
Jason Isaacs as well, isn't
there?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, he is J.K. Simmons, which is pretty cool. The idea of the character's cool, that he keeps coming back because he's made all of these deals. But again, I don't feel Isabel's character delivers enough of a conclusion for his story. And I think that kind of lets him down as well. I'd have liked to have learnt a bit more about the family, I think.
Yeah. Because you do meet other members of the family, don't you, along the way?
Yeah.
Like the money gold woman.
Money gold woman? Oh, the other forms in town, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't think they add anything to it either.
He's got his pet dog, haven't you, though, in the castle? Remember that undead dog?
Oh, yeah.
There are some cool touches like that. And there's some diaries and things, I think. But
But apart from that, I don't think... I think it's just all a bit underwhelming.
I think it is. I think I like the idea of all of it. I just don't feel it's enough for the end of the whole Moonrise Towers section of the game. There's a lot of build-up to killing Kefric Thorm, and he's not bad. D does feel a little bit unfair. Do I like him as much as Karnis, as Isabel, as Voss? Maybe, to be fair. I mean, maybe C. Is he as bad as...
The thing is, I maybe would go C instead of D, purely because in D we even have people that we haven't encountered at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's memorable.
Or like we have encountered them, but like we've killed them right away. So in like Dark Urge we haven't even encountered and we've put Dark Urge in D. So maybe C, just on the fact that we do remember him.
He's a memorable character.
But we just maybe don't like him.
Yeah. Okay. Walburn Bongle, I think we've already called F Bongle, so yes. it's obvious where he's going to go.
Little shit.
He is a bit, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's demanding of him, I find. Like, I've got no problem that he wants to be saved, obviously, and he wants help after that, and I was well on board for all of that in the first playthrough.
Yeah, same.
And I quite liked him, I think, to begin with, and then we get to Baldur's Gate, and there's the factory where they're making the steel watch, and you've got the Gondians forced into slavery as engineers. And we go in and we free all these Gondians, and you come out and it's a great success, and he's there really angry about it, annoyed that you didn't murder all of these innocent Gondians.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what level he's got to where he thinks in our relationship he's got the right to demand me to murder people.
Especially when we've saved him, like, however many times, like twice.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's not even asking it, it's that he's really angry that I didn't do it. Like it was an expected thing. How dare I not murder these people? But where does that boldness come from? So... It was just really unexpected and brash.
Yeah, I was definitely not expecting it, but I was a bit like, okay then, like, taken aback.
I was like, okay, I didn't realise you were this intense.
Yeah, I didn't realise we were in this weird relationship, but... But he has all, like, these, like, almost simps that kind of, like, follow him around and are, like, obsessed with him, including, like, Barkus, so...
Yeah, I mean, I suppose he's got something going for him.
So he might do well in that sense, but I think as a character, he is bloody awful.
I don't think many people would like Wolverine Bongle.
No.
I like his name. I would like to call Rabbit Bongle.
Yeah, me too. Didn't you, like, see a diss track on...
Yeah, there is. There is one, I think, called Fuck Wolverine Bongle.
Oh, F Bongle.
Yeah, so F. Jörgir? Is he a hard one to judge because he's another one we've also basically just killed?
I think so, yeah. Plus, right, the first playthrough, that fight, I was like, oh, that was quite hard. I won't like to do that again. We're currently in the middle of our second playthrough, and we're doing it on a harder difficulty this time.
I forget what the harder difficulty is called.
Tactician?
I think so.
And we spent
all evening
6 hours probably trying to do this fight.
I mean, we had a bath in the middle of it.
Yeah. Stress sweating.
It was difficult. I find it really fun, that fight, though.
I really liked it, yeah.
It's a really enjoyable fight. Him chucking bombs everywhere is really annoying, but him going invisible is really annoying. I mean, the invisible thing was really annoying on the first playthrough because I didn't have the invisible eye you get from Volo at that point. So we didn't really know how to find him when he's invisible. I was just shooting arrows randomly.
Yeah.
There's so much we didn't know about the game on the first playthrough.
I mean, there's so much we still probably don't know.
Yeah.
It'll take like a third time to... But,
So I found him very annoying as a result of that, but I do quite like the design of his character.
I think he does look really cool, yeah.
I think he looks cool. I like his voice as well. And I'm very intrigued. I kind of do wish we didn't just kill him and had sort of met him and worked with him and not helped Raphael out there.
Yeah.
I suppose we did it for Astarion, but, you know.
One thing that really annoys me, though, is during that fight, the laughing.
Oh, yeah, that bugged out and he just would not stop laughing the whole fight, would he? Just over and over again.
So that was a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, part of me is tempted to put him in D because he's just so annoying in the fight, but that's also what I like about him.
Fairly, I'd say C.
Yeah, I think probably.
Compared to if we've put like Zarel or however you say their name in C.
Yeah, well,
then
the thing I feel with Jörgir though is I reckon if we didn't kill him and worked with him, I bet I would really, really like him as a character.
Yeah, well maybe that's something for the next playthrough.
Yeah, okay, we don't know that, so I suppose we can't judge.
Maybe
it on
like
that.
If we do a dark run of the game where we do like all the bad kind of choices, we come back and do like another tier list depending on like that playthrough. Cool. Because like I think some of the main kind of characters, if you are doing like the bad run, you would just kill them quite quickly.
Yeah, you probably would. Balthazar?
I think there's a lot that I don't like about this character.
Me too.
I think one of them is, I think you've said this before, that it's like they try too hard to be edgy with the appearance of his character.
Yeah.
Like the pentagram face.
I feel like he was designed by an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is really cool.
If I was 11, that's what I'd be well into. And that does put me off him, I think. Because it makes it hard to buy the character. And it's just like, what have you done? I think it's a good voice acting performance.
Yeah.
I think it suits the character. I think it's kind of interesting, the whole sort of mad surgeon type magical guy thing to it. And he's got what he calls his brother called Flesh. But he is annoying.
He is very annoying, yeah.
He's too edgy for my liking. I put him in D.
Yeah, I did as well.
The only good thing I would say is that it's a good fight when you fight him. But
yeah, well, ours is kind of like anticlimactic last time we met him because I fired a roaring thunder arrow and he just went flying off a cliff.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he just teleported up to the cliff and you shot him off it. Yeah. Jaheira then.
See, like
we put Minsc and Boo in B.
Yeah, like I'm kind of like
they're an A.
Not necessarily going off the list I wrote before because my opinions kind of change as we go on.
Okay, you just
because then I look at it and I think like,
well, where would they judge compared to others?
Yeah.
Where would you judge them then?
So Jaheira, I think I would potentially put in A.
I put A down as mine.
Because I think if we've got Halsin, who is kind of a similar type of companion, like you can have them on your camp, you can kind of play as having them as your like sidekick, but you find them along the way kind of thing. I think she is a lot better in that role than he is.
I think she is. I think I said this earlier when I was talking about House, and even did I that there's just more dynamics to her character. You get meeting her family, I think, is the thing that really sold it for me. When you get to meet her family.
Yeah. Well, we didn't do that till quite late on because for some reason we just hadn't found the house.
No. And you do, and it just gives her an extra layer and makes her very human. And I really like that bit of the story.
I also adore that her voice actress is like this little Welsh woman or whatever she is. Is she Scottish? Yeah. Sorry.
It's a very thick Scottish accent, isn't
it? Yeah. And I think that's pretty cool.
I do really like the Jaheira voice. It's a good one. And she's got the history of her past exploits. I think she was in the previous games, and the history with Minsc. There's just a lot to her, I think, for what is one of the minor characters you can play as in camp. She's got quite a lot to her. Yeah,
and I don't think, because her character is in the other two Baldur's Gate games, right? Or at least like one of them, I'm not sure.
As far as I know who she is, I'd assume.
Yeah, and so is Minsc. But whilst I think Minsc's character somewhat feels a bit fan servicey to come in like last minute, and I don't think hers does. I think hers just feels kind of natural. And
I do as well. Yeah, I feel like when you meet her at the last light in, that's exactly where her character would be this time later on, and it's a nice other version of it's kind of the straight up hero type character, but a bit old and worn and slightly lost away. And
but she's also got like the backstory of her family and
I think it's just well done. So I think A is fair.
Yeah.
Dame Aelin?
I will go back to my list for this one because
I just put her in B by accident.
Oh, I'm still not very sure, but I think Dame Aelin I put in C.
I put her in D.
Okay.
Which is unfair in a lot of ways. I heard she was a fan favourite, which I was surprised about.
I saw something along them lines, but I don't know. I can't see it being a thing, but
she's another one to me that does feel like she was designed by someone who's 11, someone really into anime as well.
I do think she looks a lot cooler though than Balthazar does.
Yeah, she does look very cool. Yeah. I shouldn't criticise that too much, but I also it's partly that, and it's partly that she refers to herself as Dame Aelin in the third person, which could be quite cool, but
I don't think you'd refer to yourself as Dame. If you're going to do anything, just refer to yourself as Aelin.
I just find her a bit too stern and a bit too serious, and I'd like it if the game kind of poked a bit more fun at that. You could have had Isabel doing that, kind of undermining her as part of their relationship, and that doesn't really happen.
Like, I think that would have like killed two birds with one stone as well, because it'd be like you're getting more character from Isabel, you're getting more character from Aelin, and you're also kind of learning more about their relationship as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think any of that gets covered really.
I don't think the relationship is conveyed, and that's probably also part of why Isabel's character doesn't feel like it ends, because you don't. Yeah. But Dame Aelin, I suppose, does carry on with you, and she goes into Act 3, and then Leroican tries to kill her, and she gets a bit dark after that. I remember when she's like full on vengeance on people, which is quite an interesting bit to a character. But then that kind of doesn't entirely end either.
No.
So I don't think there's quite the full conclusion to her character. I don't think there's enough to undermine her and add a bit more humanity. I think she looks very cool, and that's kind of all she's got going for her.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, we agree on that. What are we saying though, C or D?
See, I still wouldn't feel fair putting her in D.
Okay. Alright. I can see that. We've got quite a lot on C now. Faniel, who I also put in C.
Yeah.
I like Faniel more on my second playthrough, I think, because I've bothered to listen a bit more about him. It's quite an interesting idea, that like getting split in two, and that the two of them don't rejoin. They're happy to have each other as a friend. I really like that as an idea.
That is a very sweet idea.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I don't care about him as a character much though.
No, me neither.
Which maybe makes sense, because he's kind of just the spirit of nature sort of thing. And he doesn't do anything. He's just, you help him, and the land is revived. And so he's kind of not really he's almost like a metaphor more than a character, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And that makes it hard to judge him as a character. So in a way they could say D, but I think C is probably fair.
I think C is probably fair as well, yeah.
Okay, there is another one in C then. We are stacking up. Shadowheart.
You go first, because I really struggle with where to put Shadowheart.
I was very tempted to put her in S, because I do really like her, but I've gone with A. I think she's got a really nice voice.
Yeah, I think she's got one of the nicest voices in the game. I
think the idea for a story is really interesting. My main problems, I think, are Viconica doesn't really deliver that bit at the end for her. Well, not that bit at the end, because you got the whole thing with her parents, which is great, and then you go on after that. And
when you meet the friend and...
Yeah, that's good.
That's very sweet. That's a good bit.
I think it's a really good arc, and a really interesting story. I think my problem with it is you felt it probably more than me, because you weren't playing with her as your companion. The bunnies are making noise again. Is that it gets a bit grating at times, just how much she talks about Shah.
Yeah, and I do get that is kind of meant to be it, because she is pretty much in a cult.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how people are in them kind of religious, extremist kind of groups, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did kind of just start to be like, oh, here we go, Shadowheart's at it again.
Yeah, it gets to that point in the story where you know what her character's got to do. You know she's got to let go of this and change. And it's not happening yet, and you kind of get to a point where you're just waiting for it, and it's slightly frustrating that you can't get there yet.
Yeah.
Which is...
Because you kind of know that it is going to come to a point where you have to try and convince her not to do a certain thing. And, yeah, it did just kind of feel like oh, come on, like, can Shadowheart shut up now and we just get on with it kind of thing.
I mean, you felt that more than me, but yeah.
Yeah, I do like her character though, and I think her story is one of the most interesting out of the main companions.
I like the idea kind of that she's been forced to forget all the memories, and like you then sort of having to try and find the humanity within her again, I quite like.
Yeah. And you feel really bad for her when, like, you see, like, the flashback of her, like, in the woods with the wolf and...
Yeah. That was quite a nice twist for that as well.
And I think the whole idea of, like, would you want your memories back having known that you've done all these bad things?
Yeah.
I think that's a good, like, kind of, like, dilemma.
She is a very interesting character.
Mm-hmm. And then she gets blonde hair at one point.
Yeah, well, I think she looks better with the black hair.
I do, yeah.
She's the most somber in the group. Mm-hmm. It feels harsh criticising her and saying she's A, but to be fair, we put Wyll there as well. We put Lae'zel there, so maybe, yeah. She's not... I mean, we are, or at least I've been harsher on the main characters than I have been on some of the others. Because I'm expecting an S-tier main character to be flawless because they got such... You know, they're carrying the story of the game.
Yeah, like Scratch and Owl back up.
Whereas, you know, Arabella's not... She still deserves S tier, but because she's not, like, the main character, I don't think she has to be as faultless in that kind of way. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gortash?
I think, maybe a bit unpopular opinion, I might go for A for Gortash.
Oh, I did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be just because I really like Jason Isaacs. I mean, that's probably part of it, but...
But then again, I did like him before we even Googled who his voice was.
Yeah.
I think initially, this guy's just horrible. He's like, but he's horrible in a way of like, you almost like him.
Yeah. I think he's the most interesting of those three main villains.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, Raphael, I suppose, is a villain as well, but, you know, out of Orin and Kefric Thorm, I think I really like the way he would just straight up bargain with you and be like, yep, I'm going to be a tyrant. Can we make a business agreement on tyranny? I find that really interesting that you can do that in the game.
Yeah. And then I also think there is like a level of feeling sympathy for the character as well, after knowing like that what he did to Karlach, his own family pretty much did to him. Yeah.
Which was cool because I remember meeting his family before that in that shoe shop or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they were all, oh, lovely, look at our boy growing up with, just so proud of him. And it's so not that. Yeah.
So I kind of like that element of it because
I do.
You kind of start to learn more about maybe why he would turn into the person he has.
It makes some of the sort of the regal pomposity stuff make sense as a bit of a defence. You can probably see a bit of influence of Raphael on him, the fact that he was in the House of Hope.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that as well. I think the Steel Watch are cool as beings he's created. I find it just a really compelling villain. He's had this past that you only get hints at, and he just wants to take control of this city as a result and kind of build himself up as much as he can as this self-made guy, and it's just not going to work. And Karlach really, really wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And that's really sad, like, that Karlach once looked up to him so much and just got betrayed. Mm-hmm. And I think how much it means to Karlach is a big part of what makes Gortash a great villain as well. Because I don't think any of the other Kefric Thorm and Orin, there's none of the other main characters have that kind of investment in them.
No, like, Orin, like, messes with you a little bit here and there. But it's never, like, specifically aimed or, like, they haven't specifically affected other characters in the past to the level of Gortash and Karlach.
Yeah. And in a way, that arguably makes him the best villain, but we've still put Raphael in S, haven't we? So I still do just prefer Raphael as a villain to Gortash, I think. I think I probably do. But me talking now kind of makes me want to put him in S.
You can if you want.
Do you not object to that then?
I don't object, but...
I think A is probably still right, but he could go in S. Mm-hmm. No, he's going to go in A.
Okay.
Orin. I mean, this is another character I find a bit too edgy. Mm-hmm. And I know this is my personal taste there. Because a lot of people probably really like that. Because, like, this is a game of Dungeons and Dragons being a bit edgy. Like, I've enjoyed the whimsy. The fact I find the edgy off-putting probably is a bit hypocritical. Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of your taste, I suppose, and, like, what you enjoy. I personally, like, I do get what you mean about the edginess of, like, Orin, Balthazar, that kind of thing. But I find hers less annoying than, like, Balthazar's and stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Because I think, like, there is more to her character than the other characters as well. It's not just, he is super edgy. I think, like, she fits.
Yeah.
The character fits the aesthetic.
I think it does. I think she is fun.
Yeah, I really like her,
I do like having conversations and then discovering you wasted a whole time talking to Orin.
Yeah.
And I really liked that she does kidnap someone from your camp.
Mm-hmm. I was not expecting that.
No, was I. That's like a really good twist in the game. Oh my god, someone from our camp, one of our companions can literally be taken. That is cool.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realise the game would try and have that kind of impact on you.
I really enjoyed the Orin fight as well.
I did.
Yeah,
that was a really hard one. We both said that was a really, but I said hard and you said good at the same time. Maybe it's harsh me saying that about her. She screams a lot, but it suits her perfectly.
Yeah, because she is just kind of manic and...
Yeah. I like some of the backstory to do with her mum trying to kill her, and then her murdering her mum, and all of that sort of stuff. She's interesting. Where did you put her?
I think she belongs in B.
I was originally going to say C, but I think I've talked myself into B as well. Right. I think I know what I'm doing with Yenna.
F. Bungle.
Yes. And it's really unfair because we don't really know anything about Yenna. On our first playthrough, it just got bugged. She joined our camp. She had a line of dialogue. I brought my own paring knife. And whatever else she says. And that's... Nothing else happened to her. We just kept talking to her, waiting for something to happen with the character. Like, now is she going to say something else? It was always that same line. Nothing ever changed. And it became really annoying.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unfair putting her there. There's probably a lot to her, but I don't know. So it's F.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say on that.
Okay. Valeria.
S.
I went S as well, for the same reasons I wanted to put Elminster in S. Why?
I think that I was just more taken aback when I met Valeria than I was Elminster.
Yeah,
I was not expecting a flying elephant with a monocle and... Does he have a monocle?
Yep.
A monocle and a little top hat as Inspector.
I don't think he does have a monocle, actually, but he does have a pipe.
He should have a monocle. But yeah, the Sherlock Holmes-esque elephant.
Yeah,
it was just completely...
I was doing something else in the playthrough, wasn't I? And then I suddenly look at your screen and you're talking to him. And I was like, what's going on here? He is really fun. I've said these are the kind of characters I like. I prefer Elminster to him, but is it because he's an elephant? Is that why you're giving him S?
I just like the whole randomness of it.
It is very
random. The whole,
random.
Weirdness of the character.
Yeah.
And also, he is a terrible detective.
Yes,
which I just kind of love. Like, I would love seeing like a cop kind of show, but it's just Valeria trying to solve.
He messes up everything, and someone else always does it.
Yeah.
And the trick is him trying to pull it off as though he did it.
But he's just sat in a brothel while everyone else does his.
That would be cool.
It would, yeah.
No, I like that as an idea of a cop show, actually. Like, the mystery creative element isn't how do I catch them, it's how do I make it look like I was the one that caught them?
Yeah.
How do I steal the credit? That would be cool. Alright, I mean, I think Elminster's better, but I wanted one of the characters like that in S, so I do have Ethel there. Mystra. I'm surprised she's on this list.
Yeah, this is a hard one because you don't really know a lot about Mystra apart from what you hear from Gale.
I imagine from this picture that you can have a conversation with her in the game.
We have on our playthrough we did meet her.
Oh, did we?
When Gale goes through that thing to see her.
I thought he just goes off on his own though, and then he comes back and tells you.
We watched it. It just was very underwhelming.
Oh, okay. I can't even remember it then.
Because that's from that scene.
I thought Gale just went off and then he come back and told it to us.
That is from that scene.
Okay, alright.
But since you can't remember, maybe she should be quite low down.
I think F.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfair. Like, I think a lot of people complain about how much Gale talks about Mystra.
I mean, I this is a slight thing I've had, isn't it? Like, when you're on, like, a romance playthrough with Gale and it's like, he's still talking about Mystra every 2 seconds. It's like, come on.
Yeah, but, it's his backstory. Starren talks about Cazador a lot.
I guess, but one's an X, one's not.
I guess. Yeah, alright. I mean, it feels kind of unfair, but then...
I just don't think we know enough about her character to care.
No. Do we know enough about Xana?
definitely not, but
I assume I put him in C, D, F.
I think
not
I've
F.
got him in D just because, like,
I put him
I
in
don't
D.
really get why he's on the list.
Yeah, he's. I liked meeting him and talking to him. Yep.
Yep.
Lorroakan. I don't like him at all.
No.
This is the problem. This list is so confused between whether we're rating on likability or impact in the story, although he doesn't have a huge impact in the story, does he? I put him in D because I don't like him.
Yeah, I put him in D as well.
He's a good character in terms of Roland. There's all this build-up about getting to work with the great Lorroakan, and then he's just this abusive dick.
I remember on this current playthrough that we're doing, where I've got Gale as like a companion, when you are at the Grove at the start, like, I think Roland is going on and on about what a great person like Lorroakan is and stuff, and then doesn't Gale chime in and go like he's a fraud or something?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that kind of element, and I'm looking forward to, on this playthrough, going to see Lorroakan with like Gale and seeing what kind of happens. And I do love the whole tower kind of bit. I think it's really fun.
It is a cool tower.
But as a character, yeah, D.
Alright. Saravok? I put Saravok in C.
Do I remember Saravok?
Okay, he is Orin's granddad. He's on that big throne. We had that really difficult fight with him where we used the dance spell.
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
The Baal guy.
Yeah.
Who I think seems like he was a villain in one of the older games. I think that's
cool.
the idea. I think
we do need to play the older games at some point. We have them. Yeah. Just haven't played them.
I think he's got an interesting, like, hints of a backstory, and there clearly is if he isn't an older game. It's a great fight. It's a great aesthetic. It's an intimidating throne Baal place.
Yeah.
A little boss battle. I think he does it fine. I think he's C.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, you see as well?
Yeah.
That's probably us done then, because none of us know who the Oathbreaker Knight is. I think that is if you're playing as a paladin. I think that must be something that comes up with
Unless it's something we've forgotten. But, yeah.
Okay, are we putting that anywhere then, or should I put it in D, or should
Just
I
put
not
it in D, because that's kind of where we've put...
Okay, that's our list. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We should put them in some order.
Oh,
let's do a mad scramble to sort of rank them.
Right.
In each... Should we start with the top ones or the bottom?
Should we go bottom up?
Okay.
Working our way to who the top 5 best characters in our opinion are.
Okay. I think Wulbren's at the bottom of this list.
I do, yeah.
And I think Vlaakith just before him.
Yes.
Then Aradin? Or are you thinking her? I feel like Yenna and Mystra is a bit unfair. I mean, Yenna's probably top of this list because, it was just a bug.
I think I could have it, like, even like that. Like, why not?
I think Mistra's fire.
Okay.
I think she's there because we don't know really. D, I think let's put the ones we don't know at the end, just because. Right. Who's the best one in this list? Is it Floric?
The best one in that list is...
Cazador? Alder?
I'd say Cazador or Floric. I like Koga as well.
Okay. I think Alder deserves to be up there.
Yeah.
I think Alder's better than Koga.
Okay, yeah.
Glut could go higher than Nair, maybe higher than He Who Was.
Yes.
I think Balthazar, to be fair, he does have an impact. He's memorable. So maybe here, actually. And Sazza can go down.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that fair, do you think? Or do you want him back?
Yeah, no, that'll do.
The rower can probably, I don't know, somewhere like...
Anywhere, yeah.
Here, whatever.
Best in this list?
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering Voss.
Potentially.
Isabel, Orpheus, Zevlor. Let's put them all near. Let's bung them up there somewhere. Like that.
I think Strange Ox can move down.
Tara can go down as well, I think. Just moving them down a bit. Is that far enough? King can probably go up.
I kind of want Mayrina somewhere not too far after Keen.
Okay, let's put her after Keen then. I think Kefric can go up a bit. And I think Dame Aelin can.
Maybe Yerga, even?
Yeah. Thaniel as well. Maybe like there.
I think Harleap above Tara and Bernard or Bernard.
Okay. I think Karnis above Tara. I think Strange Dogs of Bernard actually.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a bit harsh on Zarel, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
B.
I think Volo, Emperor, House. Oh, all of these could be high actually.
Yeah, they're all kind of.
This is hard to rank. Okay.
I think I would put Moll pretty high.
I think Mattis is probably worst actually.
On the list?
Yeah. I mean, they're all strong ones, aren't they?
I guess.
Dammon actually maybe below Mattis, I think.
No.
No?
No.
You prefer Dammon to Mattis?
Yes.
Okay. Barkus, he could go down.
Yeah. I think Hope potentially could as well.
Like that?
I think...
Or Hope behind Barkus?
Yeah. I do think Orin above Missoura.
The Emperor above Halcyon or Halcyon above the Emperor?
I think Volo may need to move down a little bit.
To like here?
Yeah.
I think Halcyon above Volo.
Yes.
That's probably good then.
Yeah, that's fine.
This list, who's the best in this list? That's really hard. I think it could be Gortash, to be fair.
Gortash, yeah. I was going to say the same.
Alright.
And then the worst on this list...
I think Shadowheart's better than Wyll as well. Do you disagree?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay.
I would put Lae'zel maybe above Minsc.
Oh yeah, I would. I didn't realise she was there.
Jaheira even, maybe? You'd put Elminster quite high up the list as well, wouldn't you?
I'd put Elminster above Minsc.
Yeah.
Elminsk.
That could work.
I think that works.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Who's bottom here then? Let's start with that.
I'd say bottom.
I think it's the animals, to be honest.
Yes.
I think they're only there on cuteness.
Who's cuter though, Scratch or Owlbear Cub?
I think Scratch.
I probably think Owlbear Cub, but...
I think Owlbear Cub's more interesting because it's not a real animal.
I wish it was though.
I think Arabella's probably after that. There.
Yeah. And then
probably is Valeria. Or Ethel. Valeria or Ethel. This
one's really, really tough. I prefer Ethel to Valeria.
Okay. Right, now we're into the top 5.
I am going to say in 5th place...
Should we say both at the same time we think it is?
Yeah. Gale.
I was about to do countdown.
Okay.
I was going to say Raphael. You look shocked. I'm shocked you said Gale, to be honest.
I think out of the...
You prefer Roland?
Yes.
Alright, I'll let you have that one.
4th.
3, 2, 1, Raphael.
I didn't say.
You didn't. You opened your mouth and then stopped to look at me.
Because I couldn't think of who I'd put.
Oh, you said you were ready.
I wasn't.
You just hoped you would be.
Yeah. I was panicking as the time was ticking down. But yeah, I could go Raphael there.
Although then again, I think probably Roland actually.
No.
You prefer Roland to Raphael?
Yeah, too late. You've already said.
Alright.
Yeah.
I think Karlak's first, to be honest. I think Karlak, Astarion, then Roland.
Yeah.
I think Roland's definitely third there. I think I prefer Karlak to Astarion. I think Karlak's story is more interesting than Astarion's.
I think I relate to Karlak more than I do Astarion.
Yeah. I think Astarion's story is a bit more straightforward.
But I think for voice acting alone, he deserves to be in like the top 5.
He does, yeah. So is our top 5 then, is it? Karlak, Astarion, Roland, Raphael and Gale.
Yeah.
With Ethel just missing out.
Yeah? She's great.
Yeah. Yeah. She'd be very annoyed about that though, to miss out.
She would. Clever clogs.
That's our list. I'm sure it's made a lot of people very angry that Shadowheart isn't in S. Lae'zel isn't in S. Minsc and Boo aren't in Esk. But, you know, this is our list. We gave our reasons. I think our reasons are justified, even if you disagree.
Because it is our playthrough, and that's how we played things. And
yes.
I do think, though, in the comments, you should say which of our decisions you especially disagree with and why, and if there's any that you really agree with and why.
Also, who your top 5 are.
Yeah. Or who your favourite companion to play the game with is. Just anything you want to tell us, really.
Yeah, just write a novel.
Yeah, why not?
Is there any characters you wish were on this list that aren't? I think we mentioned Lucrezia should have been on this list.
I have a question as well.
What?
Out of all the NPC characters, which one would you most want to romance if you could? This is
out of everyone on this list.
Well, it wasn't a question just for you. It was for.
Oh, we're giving them a lot of questions.
But we can give our answers.
Have you got an answer?
Yeah, Roland.
Okay.
Or yeah, Roland.
I don't know if I have an answer. I don't know who I'd.
I think out of the
ones you can't
female
romance.
characters, if I had to romance any of the female characters, I would go Alfira.
Oh yeah, I probably would as well.
Yeah, I don't want to get in between her and Lacrissa, so maybe I'd go for Orin just because I think that'd be fun.
No, it wouldn't. You'd die.
Yeah, but it'd be fun, wouldn't it?
What, dying? I might go Hope, you know.
Yeah?
She's manic, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Strange Ox.
I was going to say if you're adding characters to this list, I'd add Lacrissa and I'd add Popper.
Mm-hmm. And Stony and Boney.
Yes.
And the man who turns you into a cheese wheel. I can't remember his name.
I didn't like him. That's that.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.